The city of Birmingham, Alabama hosts INDYCAR's one annual journey to the Deep South, and it all happens at Barber Motorsports Park. 880 acres of beauty that resemble a national park more than a world-class racing facility. Here in Alabama, the cry is usually roll tide, but today 21 of the world's fastest racers will take on the 17 rolling turns of Barber Motorsports Park. And despite overnight rain, little will dampen the enthusiasm of the fans so far this season. You know, the first two races have been won by smaller teams on the grid, and that's given us an exciting start to this year. And today, a trio of past winners could use this race and a victory to turn the tide on their respective championship hopes. Welcome to INDYCAR Live, presented by Verizon, where we set the stage for today's 90-lap, 200-mile race. And what a view from above Barber Motorsports Park, and we are perched high on the hill there above turn 2. There are so many great vantage points here, and thankfully I can say the weather has turned in our favor after overnight severe thunderstorms and a lot of rain early this morning. It's good, clear, sunny conditions to go racing INDYCAR style for the third round of this year's championship. Hi folks, Lee Diffie with you here in Birmingham, Alabama. You know, the Verizon INDYCAR Series has built a nice block of history with this racing venue. Today marks the 8th successive year INDYCARs have raced on this magnificent circuit. And after the first two races of this season have been run on street courses in both Florida and California, today marks the first permanent road course race, and it's a really busy time in the championship as well because everyone heads west to Phoenix for the first oval of the year. That's what's been happening so far, but let's get you up to date about this weekend and what you need to look for in today's race. Team Penske in big, bold colors and letters, because they have been strong this weekend. All four of the Penske drivers very fast in practice all weekend. It has been a sign of strength. Now, coming to qualifying, the points leader, Sebastian Bourdais, just forced it a little too hard. He did make it to the top 12, the Fast 12, couldn't quite make it to the Firestone Fast 6. Another story involves one of those strong Penske cars, Josef Newgarden. His team took a gamble on tyre strategy and it didn't quite go their way. Simon Pagenaud, the reigning series champ, he did make it to the Firestone Fast 6, but pushed it a little too hard, and there was nobody in the same league as Will Power. He got, yes, another Verizon P1 Pole Award as we show you the grid. And it looks like this. Well, the first few rows anyway, all Penske front row with Will Power, Helio Castro-Neves, Simon Pagenaud on the second row alongside Ganassi's top man, Scott Dixon. Ryan Hunter-Reay wants to find a little bit more and get his third victory here in Barber. And James Hinchcliffe, well, he just said he was pretty happy to simply make the Firestone Fast 6 and link it with his first two wins on the season. Now, speaking of wins, those first two races, two different winners, and you can say, yes, smaller teams, and for the drivers, somewhat surprise wins at this stage of the season. Let's remind you about it, take you back to Long Beach 2 weeks ago.
It's a beautiful day in Long Beach. Green flag, it's in the air, we're underway.
Great jump from Ryan Hunter-Reay in that yellow car. Look for him to make a move here as Dixon leads him down to turn 1.
Oh, that's tight right there. You're not going to go two abreast for very long.
Oh no, Kimbo!
What did I tell you?
Scott Dixon coming down pit road. This is a little bit earlier than we expected. So these guys that we thought were going to do 2 stops might be doing 3.
Hunter-Reay is still on track. He is in the lead now, and he's got to lay down some wicked fast laps.
These three cars running nose to tail virtually from the start of the race.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, the leader, making his final stop.
Hinchcliffe has stayed out on the track one extra lap. This could be an advantage for James. Hinchcliffe has come out in front of Hunter-Reay.
There's the
Something
yellow.
wrong with Alexander Rossi. Green flag back in the air.
Wow, Hinchcliffe smoked him off the final corner. Look at how strung out they are.
Ryan Hunter-Reay is stopped on the track.
Hinch is the master of the restart. It's not even close.
It'll be a 3-lap shootout. Coming through the hairpin for the final time. Hinchcliffe's going to win in Long Beach.
That sets up a championship after 2 rounds that looks like this. Sebastian Bourdais boasting a 19-point championship lead with a win and a second place. Look at Honda's prominence in the top 10. 7 of the top 10 fill those spots for Honda. They're pleased with the start for their season. Look a little further down too. Interesting names. Ed Jones in 7th. The rookie has made a tremendous start to his first season in the Verizon IndyCar Series, but more accomplished names like Tony Kanaan, Will Power, Graham Rahal, all looking to try and ignite their season with something special here today in Alabama. Well, a guy who has done something special here is reigning series champion, defending race winner, Simon Pagenaud. He's standing by with Kevin Lee.
Well, Lee, as you know, Sebastian Bourdais has finished first and second, coming from the back in the first two races. So, Sebastian, on a more consistent basis, what's the likelihood that this can continue? I'm not saying you're going to finish first or second every week, but can you race up front more often than not this year?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's a very different race. Obviously, on those road courses, the strategy is quite different. It's more about track position and being able to, start up front. We've been really struggling this weekend. We just haven't found, what we're looking for as far as balance is concerned. So we're not quite sure what we got. Not quite sure what the car is going to be like in those cooler temperatures. So, we'll just give it our best, see what happens.
I know it's still very early, but as you said, the car is not quite where you like. But as the championship leader in the mix at this point, does that change how you might approach this race compared to other years when you weren't in the championship fight?
Yes and no. I mean, I think the Verizon IndyCar Series is just really, really competitive. It's super close. We've seen again in qualifying, and we're just lacking speed. So right now, we just obviously first want to see the checkered flag, score some points. But we'll take anything that comes our way. But right now, as far as being the initiator in the race and just make our own fate and control it, it's not looking very likely.
Looking for a third straight podium. Going to be tough today for Sebastian Bourdais, starting 12th. Marty.
Well, Kevin, Will Power has the advantage of starting on the pole today, so he has a very good shot at getting a podium finish. I asked you if Team Penske took a step forward because everybody else is saying that you guys have, but you said no, but maybe I have personally. What do you mean?
Well, I think I found a better direction with the car. Was definitely hanging on to it a lot more than I had to. So I feel like I've been really well focused this weekend and feeling really energetic. So that's good for me.
Yeah, 19th and 13th in the first two races. Does that allow you to be maybe a little more aggressive moving forward in terms of looking for the championship?
No, I don't think so. I think you still just got to try execute each race and each situation the best you possibly can. I mean, getting desperate, it never works out. So just going to do the absolute best I can in every situation and see what happens.
Well, the more focused Will Power, Katie. He'll start from the pole today. Certainly a threat for the win here at Barber.
Marty, and this is a place that has haunted Scott Dixon 4 times. You've been second, Scott. How do you get that next step of the podium today?
Well, I guess it's good in one way. I think we had, six podiums in a row going until last year, and then we had a sort of a first lap mishap. But yeah, it's a fantastic place. The facility is top rate, and coming here even for a test day, it's a thrill of a ride around this place with the elevation change and all the high-speed corners. But yeah, trying to get a conversion here for us has been very tough. But fielding 2 NTT data cars this weekend with the 9 and the 10, hopefully we have a great shot, and maybe we can finally step on that top spot.
Mid-Ohio is known as a CGR track. This is known as kind of a Penske track. How do you beat them at their own game?
You just got to beat them. That's the simple part. But yeah, they've definitely been very strong. I think with the other manufacturer configuration they have here, I think they have a bit of advantage on the aero side. But Honda and HPD and everybody has been pushing extremely hard. The engine package right now is fantastic. We can't do anything about the aero package until next year. But yeah, we'll have to see where it goes. But yeah, that's the only way you can beat them at their game, is beating them on the track.
Lee, he'll start 4th today.
Katie, thank you very much. If you're looking for a safe bet to finish in the top 3, Scott Dixon is certainly that. Look at that run of second-place finishes, and Graham Rahal has a similar story over the last 2 years as well. Graham starts a little further down the order than where he would like to, but he has had a strong run through this field in the past. Hey, there's Simon Pagenaud. We will get to hear from the other Frenchman when we come back. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season long by downloading the IndyCar mobile app, only from Verizon. If you plan on visiting Birmingham, Alabama, I can't encourage you enough to visit the Barber Vintage Motorsports Museum. Originally 144,000 square feet. They've just added an 85,000 square feet addition. And yes, there's some special tributes to Dan Gurney and the late John Surtees. Both gentlemen had significant impact on the creation of this amazing facility. And there it is above, Just incredible what Mr. George Barber has created here. It is the #1 tourist attraction in the state of Alabama, and it is here to stay. I have never seen a racetrack like it anywhere in the world. It is first class. It's the artisan sculptures, it's the landscaping, it's the water features. It's just a little bit of everything, and that's why people keep coming back each and every year as we welcome you back to IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. Now, talking about the museum is one thing, and the surrounds, the racetrack is altogether different. And you know what? It's created history of providing some exciting finishes, and last year was no different.
Graham Rahal closes the gap on the Penske.
And he's going to be racing Pagano, who's in his box.
Beats Graham Rahal.
The problem Rahal's got is now he's got Connor, he's got turbulent air.
Please go out, Connor, for help. Copy.
Graham Rahal is on a tear. Nobody in between he and Simon Pagano. Rahal with 8 push-to-passes as we have just 9 laps to go in this race. Rahal goes to the push-to-pass. Trying to get by Pagano.
That line really tight, and he's going to make a move.
And contact there. Pagano off track.
Now Graham Rahal's in Pagano's shoes. He has lap traffic. He has to try to get by, and Pagano has an opportunity to come back on him.
And Pagano. Hawksworth in the 41 just in front of him. Side by side for the lead.
Oh, the front wing's gone now.
That's it. No way Graham Rahal can keep the pace with that wing gone.
Rahal trying to stay out front with less than 5 to go. Now coming up on 4 to go. Pagano around Graham Rahal. Pagano is trying to check out on this field.
This is going to be a wild final lap. Graham Rahal hanging on as Newgarden and Power are right there now with the lead group.
Pagano coming out of 15. He'll see the checkered flag for 6th career win.
Simon Pagano last year was one of the best road course races I've ever seen between you and Graham Rahal. Banging wheels, you're in the sand trap, you're back. He passes you, you pass him back for the victory. I'm not sure we can ever duplicate that. Was that maybe one of your best wins ever?
It was fun. Made it exciting for the fans too. So, you know, that's what IndyCar is all about. So hopefully we can make it even better this today. You know, starting 3rd. Should have my work cut out with my 2 teammates up front. Should be quite interesting. I expect Dixon to be pretty strong too. You know, he's always very good here, and Graham from the back might, with a strategy, could come back. You never know with him. So it's an exciting race for sure.
All right, I'm going to throw a stat at you. The Penske V8 Cup teams won 5 times. The Xfinity teams won 3 times, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup teams won, I think, twice. So was there a little pressure on you guys to maybe get the first victory?
We definitely have to perform it. So the boss said it's all about execution this morning. So you know, we're just gonna have to execute and see where we end up. But this weekend we've had the best cars. So hopefully mine and one of the Team Penske car wins the race.
All right, defending champ Simon Pagano starts 3rd. Kevin.
Ryan Hunter-Reay is a 2-time winner here at Barber Motorsports Park, and you've got a good starting position today, and it's been a good start to the season. You finished 4th at St. Pete. You're in position before the mechanical to be on the podium at Long Beach as well. So what do you think the difference has been in your program this year?
Well, certainly we're a bit more competitive to start the season. I think overall we've just taken a new angle of approach at Andretti Autosport. Certainly things weren't working too well last year for the most part. And you know, we've just taken it at a different angle of approach. So things have been going in the right direction. It's still too early to say that, you know, we're back on track and we're going to be you know, right on it, right at the sharp end all year long at every different racetrack. We're waiting to see, just like everyone else, where we kind of stack up. But certainly last year we qualified here 18th. Now we qualified 5th. Good place to start. And you know, I think it's a good direction. Like you mentioned, Long Beach. We would have been right there at the end fighting for the win. St. Pete, we started 3/4 of a lap down and ended up finishing 4th.
Already Honda has won as many races this year as they did last year, Lee.
Kev, thank you. Yes, RHR Captain America begins his quest for a 3rd Barber victory, reminding you to go inside IndyCar all season long. Download the IndyCar mobile app only from Verizon. The most recent winner in the Verizon IndyCar Series is the Mayor of Hinchtown, James Hinchcliffe. Can he make it back-to-back today? We'll hear from him when we come back. And there's a special guest on location today, 2-time Formula One World Champion, Fernando Alonso. Will chat to Townsend Bell when we come back.
Hey guys, James Hinchcliffe here with IndyCar Access, and you can see I got a buddy with me. This is the Honda robot. Rumor has it, this guy can cut a rug.
James, I hear you're a fantastic dancer.
Well, thank you. I mean, I've learned a move or two, but I hear you've got some pretty good moves. Would you be willing to put on a little show for everybody here?
I will be glad to.
Sounds good. Hit it. That's awesome. I know how hard it is to dance in front of people, so thanks for that. I appreciate it. I'm certainly impressed. But for now, that's bye from Alabama.
Goodbye.
It would take a lot to come up with some better dance moves than what James Hinchcliffe has got. Do you remember him on Dancing with the Stars? He did a phenomenal job as we welcome you back to IndyCar Live. And speaking of James Hinchcliffe, if you're not familiar with Hinch's story, it is a compelling one. And in many ways, he's the Dale Earnhardt Jr. of IndyCar Series racing. He is IndyCar's most popular driver. He is, of course, successful. But at the same time, he's also had to endure extreme adversity.
Oh, and a hard contact. James Hinchcliffe. Almatro safety team already there.
I couldn't feel his pulse anymore. He was literally bleeding to death. I probably had maybe 1 or 2 minutes left before I lost even his heart rhythm. There was a lot of extraordinary luck involved in this. Half an inch one way or another would have been an entirely different outcome.
Checkered flag for James Hinchcliffe. Did he do it? Yes, he did! 230.50. He did it! He did it! James Hinchcliffe is on the pole for the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500.
Coming by the grandstand, Hinchcliffe's going to win at Long Beach.
At the Long Beach Grand Prix!
When you go back to May of 2015, you're laying in a hospital bed. Did you think this moment was ever going to happen again, James?
Absolutely. You know, I knew from day one I had the best support around me, my friends, my family, most importantly this race team. The greatest of the greats have won here. Phenomenal result.
Boy, what a fun day that was for James Hinchcliffe, celebrating in victory lane at Long Beach. And I got to ask you, for career accomplishments, where does that rank?
I mean, it's up there for sure. I mean, we talked about it. That place means so much to everybody. There's the first one's the most special, always will be. Pole at Indy obviously is a big deal, but it's right up there with that for sure.
No morning warm-up for you guys as we fast forward to Barber this weekend. You were one of 3 teams who decided not to do that. I guess first question is why, and what does that concern you for this afternoon?
Well, Nick Snyder is our resident weatherman. He was pretty confident it wasn't going to be wet this afternoon, so we didn't want to risk the cars. You weren't going to learn much in that sense, and it definitely is a huge worry. I mean, yesterday we saw how sensitive the track was to temperature change. It is massively cooler than it was yesterday, so no one got to run on a dry track this morning. It basically is kind of like, throwing darts at a dartboard in terms of setup, but the captain's army up there at the front of the field is going to be tough to beat. I mean, Josef's looking great on tires, so, hopefully we can rain on the Penske parade a little bit and try and mix it up there, but it's going to be a challenge today for sure.
Well, Lee, in all 3 races this year, they made the Firestone Fast 6, coming off the momentum from the win at Long Beach. Hinchcliffe wants to make it 2 in a row today here at Barber.
Looking forward to watching his progress today, Marty. Now, folks, if you haven't heard the biggest global motorsports story of the year, it rocked, shocked, and blew the motorsports world away. Current Formula One driver, 2-time Formula One world champion, Fernando Alonso. This man here will miss the Monaco Grand Prix, an event that he has won twice, to partake in his very first Indianapolis 500. He will drive with his team McLaren, along with that man there, Michael Andretti and Andretti Autosport. It's a great collaborative program with Honda involved and a lot of people, and it has created an amazing amount of excitement. Townsend, you and I were at the press conference this morning. He was funny, engaging, insightful, and really looking forward to it.
For sure, Lee. A lot of excitement down here on the grid. Not because we're in front of Ryan Hunter race car. 2-time Formula One champion Fernando Alonso is with me. And I think the shock for me, Fernando, is not so much that you're coming to Indy, but you're doing it in the middle of your Formula One season. You're going to skip the big event, the Super Bowl, if you will, Monaco, to come here. Why is Indianapolis so important to you?
Well, I think it's the biggest race in the world. And yeah, it's true that we are racing in Monaco on that weekend, but with the performance we have now, right now in F1, I think to skip Monaco, maybe lose the possibility of a couple of points, 5th, 6th, 7th place is not comparable with the achievement that we can get, running Indy 500. So I think it's a nice experience also for McLaren, for Honda coming back to the Indies. So let's have some fun now.
What are your fellow drivers in Formula One saying about this?
Not much. We don't talk as much as you do here, probably. So, what I know is from the media, what I read from their comments. Some of them are happy, some of them are not happy because they are not happy with anything, probably.
So let me get this straight. Have you ever been on an oval?
Never.
Have you ever driven an Indy car?
Never.
Are you nervous?
A little bit. Curious also to see how I can perform. I think a lot of things to learn, a lot of procedures to learn, also the restarts, the pit stop, all these things. But, I have a great team, Andretti Motorsports. I have great teammates, and I have 2 weeks' time to learn as much as I can.
Well, a lot of excitement down here, a lot of anticipation for this guy to run at the greatest spectacle in racing. He is very focused, I can tell you that.
And he's got a really busy time ahead as well, mixing the 500 with his Formula One duties. We're going to try and twist his arm to come to the NBC Sports announce booth here in Barber Motorsports Park. Fernando leaves Alabama and heads straight to Sochi, Russia for the next round of the Formula One World Championship, something you can see right here on your home of motorsport next Sunday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern from the Sochi Autodrome. Yes, Fernando's going to rack up plenty of miles back and forth. You're watching IndyCar Live, brought to you by Verizon. Go inside IndyCar all season long. Download the IndyCar mobile app only from Verizon.
Sebastian had some problems in qualifying. As a result, he's going to have to start from the back of the pack. But over the years, Dale Coyne has proven a master of strategy.
He takes a look to the inside, does Bourdais, and he'll make the pass at turn number 1. We have a new leader.
A hometown checkered flag for St. Petersburg, Sebastian Bourdais and Dale Coyne Racing.
Bringing him to the green flag. It's in the air. We're underway.
James Hinchcliffe has come out in front of Hunter Ray.
Coming by the grandstands. Hinchcliffe's going to win in Long Beach. The other thing that's big about this win, the first Long Beach win for Sam Schmidt.
And that has set up quite the championship and an interesting conversation point with Sebastian Bourdais, an already 4-time IndyCar champion, beginning a very successful campaign for a 5th, 19 points ahead of James Hinchcliffe, the reigning champ in 3rd, and then you pick up the rookie, as we mentioned earlier, Ed Jones, down in 7th. So it gives us a whole lot to talk about as we welcome in championship-winning drivers Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy. PT, I want to start with you first. This guy, Sebastian Bourdais, was your arch rival back in your driving days. You've since mended the fences, so to speak. Are you impressed with the way, not only with what he's done, but what Dale Coyne's done, and particularly the way that he's come through the field 2 races in a row?
I am very impressed. He's put together the team, basically, of all the group of people that he's liked working with throughout his racing career, and it's really comes down to a confidence game. He's confident in the people that he has. He's not making mistakes. He's driving through the field very methodically and getting the results right now. We're only 2 races in, but he's got a 20-point lead in the championship right now. It's a pretty healthy lead.
And this guy is what you could call a holistic driver. After winning those 4 titles, he went off to F1. He was teammates with Sebastian Vettel, and then last June, he won the class, the GTLM class, at the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the city where he was born, the race that he grew up knowing all about for Ford in its 50th anniversary of the Ford GT. That's a fairy tale on its own. Townsend, this has been a captivating championship, and I think with that twist, following on from what we discussed with Paul, is the teams that have won these opening 2 races.
Yeah, we're talking about smaller teams that have won the first 2 races. Think about this, Lee. Last year, the big 3, Ganassi, Penske, and Andretti, won 88% of all races. We're at the 3rd race of the championship. Those teams account for 0% of the wins. So the pressure is rising. You'd have to go all the way back to 1999 for the last time that's happened. Pressure's rising. Chip Ganassi, Michael Andretti, Roger Penske, the mandate is clear to their teams. They must perform. It's time to flat get it on.
And that's the reason why this has been an exciting start to this 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series Championship. As we say, thanks so much for watching IndyCar Live, presented by Verizon. When we return to Barber Motorsports Park, it's time for the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. The 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series has witnessed a surprising start by the smaller teams. Beginning in St. Petersburg, Florida, Dale Coyne Racing Sebastian Bourdais dominated the field by driving from last to first. While in round 2 in Long Beach saw Smith-Peterson's James Hinchcliffe arrive in victory lane for the first time since overcoming a near-fatal accident 2 years ago in Indy. But for the powerhouse teams like Penske, Ganassi and Andretti, being winless so far can be attributed to a string of mechanical issues, accidents and strategy calls gone wrong. Today on this pristine racecourse, drivers like Will Power, Ryan Hunter-Reay and Simon Pagenaud look to return to their winning ways. Oh, and add Scott Dixon to that list as well. He's had 6 podiums here without a win. The roller coaster ride around Barber Motorsports Park is about to begin. Birmingham, Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park. It's time for round 3 of the 2017 Verizon IndyCar Series. This is the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. And isn't that a sight? The weather, we must say, has changed within the last 4 or 5 minutes. Wind picking up and there's some light rain falling, but no major weather system moving across Birmingham, Alabama. We will keep a watchful eye skyward though. For now, it's time for the command. Let's go trackside.
Alabama race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in all of sports. From the fan zone here at Barber Motorsports Park, and for the first time in IndyCar history, here's Honda's humanoid robot to give the command.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Ready to roll. Josef Newgarden looking to rectify kind of what went wrong in qualifying yesterday. He was left a little disappointed, but said, hey, it was worth the gamble. The tyres they chose, the dice they decided to roll. We'll see how it works out. Remember, this is a special place for Josef Newgarden, picking up his very first win here. Townsend Bell, time to take a closer look at this beautiful racetrack. Talk us around.
What a beautiful spot it is. 17 turns, 2.3 miles. Smack dab in the middle of Alabama, but down in turn 5, look for big action on the first lap. This hairpin is tight, it's off camber, braking zone is downhill, and it can cause all kinds of issues, but you can really get it right. Watch Scott Dixon here. This is like a MotoGP bike, like Valentino Rossi backing it in turn 5. Then down in turn 8, this is probably the trickiest section of the track. It's a right, left, right sequence where you use lots of curve, and in some cases, way too much. Sebastian Bourdais misses the pylon even at the apex, but still managed to make the corner. Then down in turn 12, very, very fast section, huge commitment. We call this Courage Crest. You dive down into the valley and then up that right-hander and over the blind rise. Charlie Kimball making it work on Will Power back in 2013. This pace is fast, it's beautiful, and it really is demanding for the drivers.
All right, Paul Tracy, time to take a look at this grid. And you, at one stage in your career, were a Penske driver, and it's an all Penske front row. Will Power, 46th career pole.
Well, these 3 guys got to play it cool on the start. It is very, very easy to go off at the first corner, and that grass right now is wet. So these 3 Penske guys, watch them fall in line. They're going to get the race going. Dixon might be able to make a move. If these guys play it too easy, he could pick up a position.
Going back, look at row 4. Josef Newgarden, as you said, Lee, took the big gamble in qualifying, didn't make it to the Fast 6, tried to do it on used tires, but he'll have an extra set of sticker reds here. he'll be on a charge.
Dale Coyne teammates sharing that row as well. As we work a little further back, Marco Andretti was desperately disappointed with his qualifying run yesterday.
He was P1 this morning in warm-up. He put on slicks in the rain and waited, and the track came to him, and he went P1, so he's motivated today.
How about Graham Rahal? First time in his career, he said, he's ever qualified last on merit. He'll start in row 11, but he's so fast here in the race in years gone by.
And he has shown that you can work your way through from the back of this field, and that's a theme that runs strong for this year. Just look at the championship leader Sebastian Bourdais as we look at the onboard shot of Graham Rahal. Speaking of Graham, MyJack brings us this point of view throughout today's 90-lap race, the Honda Grand Prix of Alabama. Sebastian Bourdais, with thanks to Verizon, the championship leader. Can he hang on to that 19-point lead when the series leaves the state of Alabama today? With thanks to NTT Data, Tony Kanaan brings us this view, and I love it. That's kind of old school, that view, as far as IndyCar racing is concerned. Mikhail Aloshin, the Russian, with thanks to Arrow, will show us how busy he gets in the cockpit. And then the man who won 2 weeks ago in Long Beach, James Hinchcliffe, Lucas Oil, we thank them for this onboard view. And Ryan Hunter-Reay, as we told you earlier, is carrying the Verizon streaming camera. Go inside IndyCar all season long by downloading the IndyCar mobile app, only from Verizon. Let's check in with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Marco Andretti has a problem. I'm hearing the car is stuck in first gear, and they're set up to come in and pit here right off the bat. In fact, Andretti is in, so more troubles for Marco Andretti, who has had good pace so far all spring, but has not been able to get a result yet.
It's got to be so frustrating for Marco. You can see him shaking his head. He punched his fist into the air. What a frustrating weekend to start the race like this. If he doesn't get going on the green, it's going to put him out of the race, basically, in terms of being competitive.
Back to pit lane, here's Marty Snyder. Marty?
We'll leave for the second straight race. Helio Castroneves will start on the front row. That didn't work out so well at Long Beach. He started on the pole, but by the end of lap 1, he was 6th. They had a boost issue, and Roger Penske told me that they have fixed that problem. In fact, they practiced restarts several times this week, Kevin.
Well, Josef Newgarden, as Lee mentioned, is certainly back near home, and he is looking for an opportunity to get his first win. And Team Penske got his first win as an IndyCar driver here 2 years ago, and he feels like he's got a really good opportunity to get it done here, especially with that extra set of red sticker tires. Robin?
2 races this year. He's crashed both times in the first lap. Not necessarily his fault. You can't convince Will Power of that. He thinks Charlie's got a black car and is wearing the black hat. So today, he wants to make it through the first lap, and let's get to the end of this race. Katie?
Robin Graham Rahal says he can't remember a time where he qualified last on merit, but the 15 team has been struggling all weekend long, so they made some really big changes overnight. But remember, Graham finished second here the last 2 years, and Lee, stranger things have happened. Bourdais won from earlier this year.
This is the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park, where it's time to bring the action. Will Power, the pole sitter, good clean start. Castroneves, look at Pagenaud and Dixon go wheel to wheel, and Dixon pushes his way through to third.
That's what I was saying. Look for Dixon to make a move. Those Penske guys playing it cool. That was a really quick start, Townsend.
How about Hunter-Reay?
Really spread out. Look at these two guys.
Hunter-Reay and Hinchcliffe, bodywork goes flying. There was contact in turn 2. Hunter-Reay has the position going to turn 5.
Pushes him wide.
Pushing hard there. Andretti Autosport, Schmidt-Peterson Racing. What a frantic physical opening lap.
There is a lot of action from mid-pack back. Look at Tony Kanaan having a look at Josef Newgarden. Newgarden, one of the few drivers to start on the harder compound Firestone Black.
Just about everybody there did the Pruitt fade to block going down into that long chicane. As you see these guys, there's not a lot of long straightaways here, so it's tough to make a pass when the guys move around on the straightaway.
The yellow and black car there, the yellow front wing, Charlie Kimball ahead of Spencer Piggott in the Ed Carpenter Racing Fuzzies Chevrolet. They spread out and get into a rhythm now, but boy, those first couple of turns were electric. Josef Newgarden working on James Hinchcliffe, the Penske driver to the inside. What a move!
Beautiful move. I'm not sure Hinch saw that coming. I can only wonder if Hinchcliffe is the car that lost bodywork with Hunter-Reay on the opening lap. Now Hinchcliffe could have a run back on Newgarden.
I think Hinchcliffe lost something off of the rear bumper pod. It looked like they touched there, and something flew off, a winglet or maybe around the back of the car, the side pod of the car, but he's coming back on him.
Look at that Newgarden car. The black and green machine for Team Penske is on rails.
And those Firestone Blacks appear to be the tire to have right now. Tony Kanaan looking up the outside, all locked up.
Whoa! That was deep, and a little too much so.
He loses 3 positions as quick as that. One lock up and go wide, you lose 3 positions. He's coming back on Sato, but this is a really tough pass, and he gets it.
Check this out, we take you back. Watch Ryan Hunter-Reay in the DHL Andretti Autosport machine, and right alongside James Hinchcliffe. Here we go. He's having a look. Dixon in the blue car on the far outside, so Hunter-Reay touches Pagano. That allows Hinchcliffe to go right around the outside, gives him the inside run for 2. Let's take a ride.
On board with Hunter-Reay. I'm not sure Hunter-Reay expected that little move from Pagano. He was probably in Pagano's blind spot, but now he'll go side by side with Hinchcliffe. And I think Hunter-Reay really has the advantage here on the outside, riding it rodeo style, Paul. And right here they're going to touch twice, maybe 3 times. And there goes the bodywork. I think that came off of Hunter-Reay's right front wing.
Hunter-Reay's right front wing.
Still
he
there.
lost the vertical board, which
Still
is
on your left,
right over in this area here. He lost that. So you see that? He's got front end wing damage, which is really going to hurt his performance.
First caution of the day, and it is for that right there, debris. Marty.
And guys, Ryan Hunter-Reay was initially going to try and tough it out without that wing being fixed, but obviously the full course caution gives him an advantage of being able to come down pit road, change that front wing. When they made the call to try and leave him out and force him to tough it out, he said, guys, it's really bad. I don't know if I can hang on to it. They said, but if we pit now, we're going to be in a terrible position fuel-wise and be last on the track as well. So this is a huge break for Ryan Hunter-Reay. They will change that front wing after the early damage.
And the other huge break, Marty, was when they came together. As you crest that hill, going up out of 2 into 3 up there is wildly fast. That could have been ugly.
Yeah, for sure. Don't forget last year, Graham Rahal with front wing damage, he was circulating about 2 seconds off the pace trying to hang on to that second place, which he did. So Hunter-Reay knows I have to have downforce, especially at Barber.
And poor Marco here, he's already 3 laps down. You can see he's shaking his head, and the frustration continues. After being P1 this morning, things looking up.
Well, think about Long Beach, Paul. All 4 Andretti cars with issues in that race, the last race. So Marco Andretti just must be devastated.
And so too is his father and team principal, CEO and founder of Andretti Autosport, Michael Andretti. He can't believe it either. So, trouble for 2 of his 4 cars. You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Steak and Shake, home of the original steak burger, proud sponsor of the number 15 and Graham Rahal. And by Honda, official vehicle of the Verizon IndyCar Series. You're watching the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama right here on NBCSN as we welcome you back to Barber Motorsports Park, under caution at the moment. Marty?
And if you saw Ryan Hunter-Reay come in a moment ago, and here's the radio about whether or not to come down pit road and change that front wing. Well, guys, it was a long debate about whether or not to change that front wing. I'll summarize it for you. Michael Andretti said, listen, if you can just get me to that first window about lap 12, even if you fall back towards the back of the field, I think it will help us. And Ryan said, I can't do it, guys. I just can't go that far, and I need to come down pit road right now. And you see Fernando Alonso and Michael Andretti sitting there watching. Michael made that call, come down pit road now. Let's take our medicine, go to the back of the field, and see if we can drive our way back up through the field. But remember, Scott Dixon was last on lap 2 after spinning here last year. Didn't make the progress he wanted to, Jeff.
Getting back to green, let's go racing in Alabama as pole sitter Will Power leads this field back to green over his teammate Helio Castroneves, Scott Dixon, Simon Pagano, and then Josef Newgarden, whose car was showing incredible pace before that yellow.
Well, we're seeing the advantage, I think, of the Firestone Black, the harder compound. As soon as it gets up to temperature, I think that's the tire to have over the course of the stint. Remember, Newgarden will have to run the reds at some point, but let's see if he can make progress on his teammate Pagano.
Outside move by Pagano on Scott Dixon. He didn't pull it off. He tried to go around the outside. He takes it down the inside here.
Championship leader Sebastian Bourdais was able to execute a move on Max Chilton, so that's for the battle for 10th. Good work there. Will Power, race leader today, said, listen, I think we're going to dispatch those reds as soon as we can, maybe around about 12 laps. The black tire, the black compound, the harder of the two, has shown us better performance all weekend long, faster for longer as well.
Here we ride with James Hinchcliffe, your Long Beach winner.
Josef Newgarden is on the blacks, and he is looking racy. He's right up the tailpipe of Simon Pagano, looking for a way around. Look for him to try to make a move at turn 2. He's been able to hold a really nice tight line down there, Townsend, and see if he can carve underneath Simon.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a few laps before the reds start to reach that fall-off zone. I think it'll really just play to Newgarden's advantage. One thing to point out, you can't use push to pass on the restart, but it'll become active now, so we'll start to look for the green flash on the roll hoop when the drivers push for more boost in the turbocharger.
And it's the same amount of time that you're able to deploy it for. In total, it's 200 seconds. And this weekend here in Alabama, 15, you can use it for 20 seconds at a time. But as soon as you disengage, you can re-engage as well. It's up to you on how you deploy that.
Yeah, it's just a lot of corners here, not a lot of long straightaways. So a lot of these times you push to pass, and you're having to use it as we watch Ryan Hunter-Reay now, who's back on track at the back of the field. The problem is you hit the push to pass. Now you got to get the power down with it, which can be tough.
Hunter-Reay working Connor Daly there in the AJ Foyt car. You can see Hunter-Reay all over the back. The trick is, how do you get by here? I think he's got to look at staying close in this section like we saw Newgarden earlier to maybe pop and surprise him with a move.
Remember this number, folks, lap 7, position 17th. And we'll monitor that throughout the race for the progress of Ryan Hunter-Reay, and immediately behind him in 18th is Graham Rahal, who also pitted.
Like Newgarden now has decided, I've settled in, I'm going to make fuel mileage, I got better tires than these guys. Hopefully they're going to fall off some, and it will make hay for him at the end of the run. He might have an advantage, but it looks like right now he's driving to a fuel number just sitting on his teammate.
Will Power has less than a 1-second lead over his teammate Elio Castro Neves. Dixon 3rd, Pagenaud, Newgarden. Hinchcliffe is 6th. Mikhail Aloshin, his teammate, is running a great 7th. And then Tony Kanaan, Takuma Sato, Sebastian Bourdais, the top 10.
I think we're about 5 laps, about lap 13, I would guess, before we start to see somebody take the risk, take the gamble to pit early and try to get off sequence. Kevin?
This is a race that came in with a lot of optimism for Marco Andretti. He's always been good here. He's finished 2nd here before, but as we documented, he had the problem earlier on. It was a gearbox issue. They changed the GCU, the gearbox control unit, but he's 3 laps down, so this essentially just becomes a long day and a test session for Marco Andretti.
What a shame. What a shame. Especially when the car had shown such promising pace earlier this weekend. Who are the big movers at this early stage in the race? Takuma Sato and Alexander Rossi have both made up 5 spots from their starting position.
Track's pretty green right now. A lot of rain overnight and this morning. They're about 3 seconds of lap Townsend off what they qualified. So as we got a side-by-side where Kanaan tries to make the move, the over-under, I think he's going to get this one.
Very nicely played. You see Aloshin on the push-to-pass button trying to respond, but it's not going to work as they come to the museum.
That was a textbook motocross pass right there.
And this hasn't been a super track for Tony Kanaan. Kind of pretty good everywhere TK is, except this place has not yielded very encouraging results. So he really wants to get his season going. Remember, we told you that in IndyCar Live at the top of the broadcast. Needs to have a turning point, and this could be the day for Tony Kanaan.
It really could. He's only 5 seconds back of the leader now. 4.9 seconds is Tony Kanaan. Pace looks good. The balance of that Ganassi car, Paul, has looked terrific in terms of consistency over a long stint. Let's have another look at this textbook pass. Tony Kanaan drafting up the back. He's on the button, goes to the outside, lets Aloshin defend, and then just crosses right over. See you later, pal.
Tony was quick to respond with a push to pass too, to negate any advantage that the Russian may have got.
I really like this on-off functionality that they have with the button, where the driver's in control of how they deploy that extra power.
2 Penske's, a Ganassi followed by 2 Penske's. It is a strong representation from Team Penske up front and Chip Ganassi Racing, 2 of the super teams in IndyCar Series Racing yet to win in season 2017.
Got Sebastian Bourdais here in 10th position. Tony Kanaan closing the gap down to Hinchcliffe. Sebastian Bourdais, he's one of the best fuel mileage makers in the race. Look for this guy to try to run longer than these guys and leapfrog on the pit stops.
Notice that he's also on the Firestone Blacks. Look at this, side-by-side, Pagenaud and Newgarden, teammates.
Teammate on teammate. Newgarden in the black-green car trying the over and under there on turn 17.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet. He's going to try him again, I think, in turn 2. Newgarden really pushing hard on the limit, on the champion's shoulder, trying to muscle him out of the way.
Well, he was making a move in that same
He's got a move here. He's going to have a move here. On the push to pass.
You got the 2 guys who have won the last 2 years right here. Teammates now fighting it out for a 4th spot. And they have to say there, Newgarden was forceful yet respectful, and likewise for Pagenaud in return.
Well, two of the best in the business, but remember, there's 4 Penske drivers, and it's still early enough in the season for any one of the 4 to assert themselves as the team leader in the championship, and that's what we're seeing playing out right in front of us here.
Paul, turn 5, that Honda hairpin is the key spot to overtake the move. Where else do you think the Newgarden might be able to get it on Pagenaud?
I wonder if Pagenaud just might have made a mistake or gotten off the track, because he's really strong right here. Look at this. He's going for it again. That's his corner right there. That's where he got Hunter Ray.
A long, loaded right-hand corner, and that's where I think you see the advantage of the harder tire come into effect, especially now that we're 11 laps into this race, and we're just a couple laps from seeing the gamblers. Who's going to come to pit lane early? Marty?
And guys, it's going to be interesting. There's a little bit of debris on the racetrack. Also, we're at the very beginning of that window, Townsend, that we talked about, teams coming in early. So does the caution maybe come out? Or if you're a team that's gambling right here, it's a terrific battle between teammates continuing to go on between Josef Newgarden and Simon Pagenaud. Or if you're a team, are you thinking, hey, maybe they're going to throw that caution, so I'm going to come down pit road thinking they might throw a caution for that debris. It's a risk, but it might be worth it at the end of the day.
So many times we've seen that insurance policy pay off of pitting early and protected against the yellow that comes out.
I wonder what Simon Pagenaud's thinking. He's probably thinking, hey, listen, guy, I'm the #1 here. I'm the series champion. You're the rookie teammate. What are you doing climbing all over me?
Josef Newgarden wants to make everybody well aware of the fact he is super comfortable at his new home. He was telling us the other day, Penske has just been a delight to be with. Not that his old team wasn't at Ed Carpenter Racing. Of course, that's where he made his name. That's where he got his first win. But the surrounds at Penske, it's a little more serious. There's a bigger budget. There's more resources. It's time to deliver, and he wants to deliver.
And I think Newgarden is proud to take on that young American role. He embraces that. And right now, it's an Australian up front lead.
And Will Power is very aware that he needs to get his season going. This is a track he loves. It's a track that he's been successful at. He could very well get his 3rd win here today. A lot of work to do yet, though. Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama continues. And you will have noticed Alexander Rossi pitting during that break. Meanwhile, there's a great scrap going on up front here, not necessarily for the lead, but for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, it is on here. Elio Castro Neves, and the first blue car you see right there, Scott Dixon putting the pressure on. The bright yellow machine, the Menards car of Simon Pagenaud, still fending off his Penske teammate, Josef Newgarden.
And Pagenaud's doing a really good job making it difficult for Newgarden, driving the wide line, Paul Tracy.
Yeah, wide line, but Power now is starting to get away, and I think Helio is kind of just holding up this line. These guys are stacked on top of each other, all looking for a way around as we're coming to the pit stops pretty soon.
Racing lap 16 of 90. Will Power's lead's kind of hovered around about that 1 second mark for most of the way. Edged out a little bit. It's now in excess of 2.2 seconds. Charlie Kimball in.
Some of the gamblers there on pit road taking the early stop strategy. 3 stops in this race. All your leaders are going to hang on here and probably pit around lap 25, 26.
Watching these cars right now, Townsend, it looks like Newgarden's got the best car of anybody, but he's kind of stuck where he's at. He's really got to make an aggressive move on Pagenaud, because Pagenaud has given him a pretty wide car.
And this is Newgarden's corner right here. This is where he's made his moves. Not close right now, but that's where Pagenaud blocked really well up the inside on the previous lap. But Newgarden not quite close, but this is where Newgarden should start to really be aggressive because of the red tire versus black tire. Again, Newgarden on the blacks, all your front runners, top 4 on reds.
Let's take you back to a little earlier in the race on the opening lap. You see to the left of your screen, Ryan Hunter-Reay and James Hinchcliffe coming together. There's going to be debris fly. That's Ryan Hunter-Reay's right wing end plate, and it collects the rookie, who has had an outstanding start to the year, 10th and 6th in respective races. This is on board Sebastian Bourdais, and it hits his teammate, then it goes via him to the left. That was a lucky escape.
Yeah, that's a pretty chunky piece of carbon, that end fence. There's, I think, a foam insert there.
I'll tell you what, that happened to James Hinchcliffe at the Indy Grand Prix. He had a winglet hit his helmet and put him out of a race, so that's a lucky break for Ed Jones.
And that debris forced a wing change, and actually Ed Jones has already pitted 3 times. He came in there in the opening lap to change the front wing, then he came in and topped off under the caution, and he just pitted the same time that Alexander Rossi did a couple of laps ago, which was along with their regular strategy. Try to come in early, hoping there's a caution at some point to cycle up to the front of the field, because they teammate Sebastian Bourdais, he didn't seem very optimistic before the race. He said, we just can't get it a turn. He was told a few laps in, you're turning really good laps. And Sebastian, who sometimes can be a bit pessimistic, said it is a completely different race car, and he's picked up a couple of spots in this race.
Michaela Lotion is being hunted down by Takuma Sato. Sebastian Bourdais just coming into screen there, and Max Chilton almost being able to break into the top 10. This has been a pretty fierce mid-pack scrap. 14 of Carlos Munoz and Simon Pagenaud.
And Newgarden got around.
The Newgarden muscled him out of the way. It looks like he dove down the inside and they pushed him right off the edge of the track. I hope we can get a replay of that, because that was some good racing.
Pagenaud loses another position to Hinchcliffe. Let's watch the replay going into turn 5. Newgarden has the position. And no contact yet, but just look at how close that is. Do they touch? I don't think so. Oh, just a rub right there. Beautiful pass from Newgarden.
How about that? So he was persistent, he was patient, and then when he needed to be perhaps somewhat forceful, that always helps intra-team relations, doesn't it, Paul?
Well, that's the new guy telling the old guy, move out of the way, here I come. He's looking at a championship this year.
The 25-year-old from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He's got a lot of family and friends here supporting him at the racetrack where he got his very first win. The Lotion's in. Katie.
Michaela Lotion is looking to prove something on this race. He wants to prove that he can win just like his teammate did in Long Beach. He's going to go with a new set of blacks. Marty?
Ryan Hunter-Reay also going with a set of primary tires. Katie coming down. He said the tires absolutely are shot. He put on sticker red tires, scuffed red tires the last time. This will be sticker primary tires. Michaela Lotion going by. He went from 17th to 14th on the racetrack. So only gained 3 spots while running out on the track. Trying to gain some spots here by pitting off sequence a little bit with everybody else. We do expect the leaders here in the next couple laps, Lee.
Marty, as Ryan Hunter-Reay gets out ahead of the AJ Foyt racing machine of Carlos Munoz, only momentarily. They go side by side. This is where the initial contact was with James Hinchcliffe on the opening lap of the race, and RHR is going to have the beautiful inside line for turn 5. Or has he overdone it? He has. Munoz skips through.
Very difficult on cold blacks. Hunter-Reay needs at least a half a lap for those to come up to temperature, but look at how fast he is on the response.
He's coming back, but he's on cold tires. You can't get through there 2 abreast. As we come into the pits, we got the Newgarden.
Newgarden making his first stop, and then a little further back you can see Tony Kanaan as well. Kanaan is going to take a little bit of front wing. That's a really good stop for Josef Newgarden. New colors, the 2 car is away, Marty.
Graham Rahal coming down pit road. He said, we are struggling with grip in every way we can struggle with it. On both ends of the race car, on the front and the rear end of the car. It's going to be sticker primary tires for Graham Rahal. And the other thing to throw into this mix, everything, Lee, a little sprinkle starting to come down here on pit road. So very interesting things going on here at Barber.
Oh boy, the man behind the wheel of the MyJack machine, Graham Rahal, knew he was going to be in for a tough day. We'll monitor his progress. We'll see if this new set of tires and any adjustments make that car more comfortable, should we say, to drive.
Well, boy, if we got a little bit of a sprinkle, Paul, that would completely throw all the strategies out of the windows. We see Rahal making a move there on Munoz.
Munoz on the push to pass.
Had an overboost. I lost the spot. Happy overboost.
Simon Pagenaud's in. Katie?
And we just watched his intense battle with his teammate Josef Newgarden. Since then, he's lost a few more spots. He's going to go from the blacks to the primary reds. Connor Daly also in. He feels like his qualifying in 20th did not reflect just how much speed he has. They're also going to go to the primary blacks. Lee?
Watch Josef Newgarden blend out with his teammate as well. Pagenaud not that close. Newgarden much quicker on the outlap as Pagenaud tries to catch up.
Think about the difference, the reverse here, the different strategy. It's what put Josef Newgarden a little further back on the grid. They rolled the dice with tyre strategy. They've done it again here at the race. The 2 team from Team Penske. He started on those primary tyres, the black, the harder compound. He switched to the red wall, softer compound tyres. And all you have to do is 2 laps, 2 competitive laps, 2 green flag laps on each tyre compound to be within the regulations of IndyCar racing.
The guy who's just motoring along is Will Power. He's just come in the pits. He's got a 4.5 second lead on his teammate Castroneves.
And remember, last year, after Will Power missed the first race, he had a lot of work to do to get back in the championship. He's actually further back in the championship in the standings and a point significantly than this time last year after 2 stops. Great race car this week, and Power then for stop
of front wing out. Max Schilling also in. He's been very unhappy on the radio. He thinks he's been losing power on and off. We'll continue to monitor that situation.
Scramble on pit lane. Big scramble. And this battle will continue between Sebastian Bourdais and Takuma Sato. That's been a fascinating one. There goes Michaela Lotion in the red car as he slips by in the Lucas Oil machine. He's just set the fastest lap of the race.
Look at Sebastian Bourdais. He's one of the best on cold tires. Both of them on push to pass. Ice cold tires. Sato is not a guy that gives up easy. Nice clean pass by Sebastian Bourdais on cold tires.
Two former F1 drivers who have made their home in the Verizon IndyCar Series. And now Hunter Ray and Ray Hall go at it. Through Museum Turn. James Hinchcliffe is in the lane. Marty?
The 11 leaders pitting here at lap 23. You can see the primary tires go on for James Hinchcliffe. He said the car was really struggling with low grip in the last 10 corners. He leaves pit road, Katie.
Spencer Pigot isn't a rookie, but he's making his very first start here at Barber Motorsports Park. He's just trying to take everything in this weekend. They're going to do a double stint on those alternate reds, Lee.
And Spencer had great success in the junior formula before becoming a Verizon IndyCar Series driver. He's shown very well talented in the first two races this year. A little unlucky, actually very unlucky at St. Petersburg earlier and also on the streets of Long Beach. We'll see what Spencer can come up with today.
Yeah, and he finds himself in an unfamiliar position as the team leader with J.R. Hildebrandt's injury. Young rookie Zach Beach making his debut here this weekend. So Pigot, the team leader at ECR.
It looks like the red tires have really started to fall off. I'm looking at Dixon and Castro Neves. It looks like Dixon just passed for the lead. They're running 1:10.5 second laps, and the leaders previous to that were in the low 109s.
Castro Neves is in.
And Lee Scott Dixon passed for the lead because he's going to stay out one extra lap versus everybody else. Going to be interesting to see if that pays off for the 9 car. It is sticker primary tires for Helio Castro Neves and 7-3 on the stop. A nice quick stop for Helio Castro Neves and that team. Said he was fighting both a little bit understeer and oversteer. Let's see where he cycles out.
How about this scrap at the front between Josef Newgarden and Will Power? Now, Dixon is still technically in the lead of this race, but the guys behind him, Power and Newgarden, are going at it.
And I think Will Power has to push really hard right now because he's on those reds. He knows they're not going to last long. He needs to make the position now if he can. Will Power on the blacks.
That's a big gap. Oh, look at these two going at it.
Hinchcliffe and Pagenaud. Pagenaud in the Menards machine.
Push to pass, push to pass.
Exactly the point on this track. He and Graham Rahal were scrapping for the victory last year, and he maintains position down into the Museum Turn.
Will Power had about a 6-second gap to Josef Newgarden, and now they are tied together for the lead.
Dixon's in.
And Lee, should we be surprised? Scott Dixon saving fuel and making lap time at the same time. He comes down pit road later than everybody else. He wants no changes to that chassis. In fact, they asked him how the car was. He said, perfect. So they're going to put on sticker primary tires for Scott Dixon. A little bit of time putting on that left front tire, waiting on the fuel. 7-4 on the stop. Let's see if he cycles out with the lead.
And all of a sudden, Josef Newgarden finds himself in second. First and second have gone by. Out comes Scott Dixon, and the chase begins.
Well, Scott Dixon went 24 laps there on a set of reds. Nice consistent lap time, as you said, Marty. And I think, Paul, that really bodes well for later in the race. Dixon's tire management abilities continue to come into play.
Watch these two Penske teammates. This is going to be the fight, I think, for the rest of the race. Newgarden has really been on a tear right from the word go, and he's closed the gap down now to Power.
Why don't the two of you talk about when you come to a track where you've won before, when you've had success? You know, they talk about playing in front of your home field, your home field advantage. It gives you an extra maybe 10%. What does it do coming back to a track where you've had your victory, especially your first victory?
I think it just gives you confidence in knowing. Oftentimes, I found, Paul, that it allows me to not try as hard. Let things come to you. Let things unfold. I've seen this before, we can do this, and that's worth a lot on the racetrack.
Yeah, I completely agree, but Castro Neves now is starting to fade. He was running second, now he's in the clutches. He's gotten passed by Dixon through the pit stop sequence, and now he's in the clutches of Hinchcliffe and his teammate Pagenaud, so he's starting to fade off the back. And look at this nice little tight line by Pagenaud on the push to pass.
It was Zach Veach.
Overtake behind.
In his very first Verizon IndyCar Series race. Pagenaud thinks about it on the inside of turn 5. Teammate on teammate again, couldn't get it done.
I'll tell you, I don't think it works that well when the teams are radioing the drivers, that the trailing drivers on overtake. There's not enough time. By the time the team on the pit wall sees it, it's too late.
Tell you what, are we seeing at this very early stage, only racing lap 26 of 90, guys, are we seeing a 2-horse race? Is this a Will Power, Josef Newgarden, teammate on teammate fight for this victory? They have broken away. They've got a substantial lead over Scott Dixon to the tune of almost 8 seconds.
Well, I think for, Will Power right now, he just needs to make sure he keeps Newgarden behind. I think he's got it comfortably in his grasp on pace, Paul. He's just managing that gap.
Well, I think he's got the capability to run the fuel mileage number that he wants and maintain the tires. But I think the problem is when you've got Newgarden behind you and he desperately wants to win, he's hungry as a lion and there's a steak right in front of him.
There's your order. And is this a 2-horse race? Is this going to be a champion and a champion to be one day? Find out. What a great story here in Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama. What a great place to visit. This town has so much to offer, and we enjoy the trip each and every year. And about 25% of the Alabama state population actually lives here in Birmingham. And just to remind you some of the interesting things here at Barber Motorsports Park. Hey, you can watch every IndyCar race on NBC live on tablet, connected TVs, and mobiles as well. The NBC Sports app. Download the app or find out more at NBCSports.com. Welcome back. Lee Diffie, Townsend Bell, Paul Tracy, Robin Miller, Katie Hargett, Marty Snyder and Kevin Lee. It's been a good one so far, guys. This has been very enjoyable. It's been even better if you Will Power in the Verizon Chevy. Pole position, and he's been out front the whole way. He's been challenged by his younger teammate, but he's built up now about a 1.2-second buffer. Talk about teammates. AJ Foyt Racing. The ABC cars are at it.
Nice move by Connor Daly around the outside of his teammate.
Riding with Rahal.
Rahal still back in 15th, 30 seconds back of the leader. And I'm sure the frustration will grow here. So difficult with all these medium and high-speed corners to get close enough to make a move.
Just look up the road there. Connor Daly is checked out on his teammate. We haven't talked much about him. He's up to 12th, so he's having a nice little run today. Exactly what he's been looking for.
Look at how physical this track is. There's Courage Crest, up and over and around. The G-forces here are pretty immense too, about 4.5 G lateral Gs as they are on it. You ask any of these IndyCar drivers, whether they're championship winning drivers, Indy 500 winning drivers, they say this is big as far as commitment is concerned. Max Chilton thinks about it on Carlos Munoz, not quite close enough.
Talk about courage. That is a fast corner to try to have a pop, especially with all of the buildup that is accumulating off the racing line. Chilton back on the button. He has a big run here. Looks to the inside. No, not going to happen.
Munoz put the chop on him there, moved right across the front of him. These two are still battling.
This is such a key section of the track as well, where they ride the curves down into Museum Turn. There has been some tremendous midfield scraps, and we have to update you too up front, where it looked like Power and Newgarden were skipping away from Scott Dixon. Dixon's brought back about 2.5 seconds on these guys.
At a 109.2, the last lap to Power's 109.3, so slowly reeling them in. And we know how strong Dixon is over the mid to long term of the stint in terms of managing tire wear. Now Graham Rahal's in this conversation.
Carlos is really struggling for grip. He's got all three of these cars climbing all over the back of him. His teammate now is just checked away from him. So it looks like he's really struggling with balance.
Well, while we're being treated to a terrific Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, we are being treated in a different way this weekend. We showed you earlier in the show that two-time Formula One world champion and soon-to-be Indy 500 rookie Fernando Alonso is here in Alabama, and even more specifically, he's here as there is a great move there from Max Chilton. Fernando joins us in the NBC Sports booth. Fernando, great to have you, and I know you've been kind of pushed and pulled and asked more questions than maybe in a whole year of Formula One racing, but how's your time been so far in Alabama?
Yeah, so far has been fantastic, and now it's racing, so yeah, it's even better now when you hear those cars passing around.
And seeing IndyCar, the Verizon INDYCAR Series in the flesh for the first time, what are your initial thoughts?
It's fun, and a lot of strategy going on. I was following 28 with Ryan, and yeah, they had a problem, an incident in the first lap, so now they changed the strategy, and you know, they try to figure out how to recover positions, so yeah, quite interesting so far.
Nobody, I don't think there's a better starter than you in Formula One. There's nobody more exciting on the opening lap of a Formula One Grand Prix than you. What did you make of that opening lap here? I mean, Ryan got into Hinchcliffe there was contact, there was a little bit of body work flying.
Yeah, it was fun, but yeah, I prefer the starts, you know, from the stopping position, you know, to have a little bit of a play with the clutch. But yeah, I need to get used to the rolling starts, especially in Indy, with many of those happening after the red flag. So
I'll tell you what, the rolling start at Indianapolis is like nothing you'll ever experience. 3 wide, and you come down front straightaway, turning into turn 1 with all these cars. It's very intense.
I've been watching some of the videos, and yeah, it looks quite a stressful moment of the race. Yeah.
Did anybody mention no power steering in the Indy cars?
Yeah, they mentioned. But
so I don't know if your training regimen, I know it's a lot of sparkling water and salmon, but you might have to bulk up a little bit.
Yeah, I think there are some barbecues programmed on that week.
Paul, people could argue, your fan base could argue, perhaps you won the Indy 500 for a matter of seconds. What advice would you have for Fernando?
I mean, he's going to get a lot of advice. I mean, with Michael, he's probably one of the best ever around Indianapolis that never won the race. But I guess the only advice I could really give to you is just, you got to let the car do the work. You can't get the last 5% by your own driving ability. You have to let the car do the work and kind of just sit back and make the little small adjustments that let the car do all the work. On a road course, like you know, you get the car good, and then the last 5-6% comes from your ability. You can't really do that on an oval.
Yeah, so far, you know, they've been telling me to stay calm, to feel the car, and yeah, to make these little adjustments during the race and throughout the race.
Townsend, he's more current. The last 2-3 miles an hour is not one change, it's 100 little changes.
Yeah. I always equate it to when every year that I go to Indianapolis, I think to myself, I remind myself, I'm going to go race an airplane, not a car, as a way to coach myself into slowing my inputs down, not necessarily slowing down, but making them even more precise, more subtle, more calculated. The last 10 laps of that race, though, it's a car race.
Yeah, you forget everything.
You're up in the seat, and it's amazing. And it's the biggest prize in racing, in my opinion. I think for you, too, that's why you're going. It's one of the best in the world.
Definitely.
Fernando, earlier today, you met with the media, and the 3 of us were in the room as well, and you were very gracious answering as many questions as you did. But something that struck all of us, just the sentiment that you have about the project. Everybody's talking about leaving Monaco, not competing in Monaco, and being an IndyCar rookie, never being on Noble. But something really resonated with all of us. You spoke about the passion and enjoying the moment. That's why you want to do it, to enjoy it. That's so important. And some might argue that's easy for you to say because you've gone to the top of the mountain. You're a 2-time world champion. But tell us more about that and the enjoyment factor and the drive to do it.
Well, I think Indy 500 is probably the most, you know, the biggest race in the world. So, you know, to be able to participate on that race is just something very unique, you know, and I feel very privileged to do so. And yeah, secondly, as you said, you know, I achieved, you know, a few things in Formula One, and now it's time to keep improving and to grow up as a driver, you know, and to be a more complete driver. I need to be able to drive in super speedways. I need to be able to drive in other series with other cars, with other people, and you know, the best place in the world will be Indy 500.
Out on the track, Will Power still leads by 2.2 seconds. If you've just turned on, that was the voice of Fernando Alonso. He's going to stick around in the NBC Sports booth just for a little bit. Fernando, I don't expect you to respond to this, but I met a young kid earlier out by our stage for the pre-race show, and he came up and he wanted to show me. He was a 10-year-old boy, and he opened up an autograph book, and he said, "That's Fernando Alonso's signature." And you made a young boy's day. You made his year. You made his life. Pretty special having Fernando Alonso, two-time Formula One world champion, here at the Barber Motorsports Park. And he'll stick around to watch Will Power. That's what Fernando's day has been like so far. A whole lot of that. The Indy Grand Prix of Alabama continues from the Barber Motorsports Park, where there is some threatening weather above. We welcome you back to NBCSN's live coverage, where we have special guest Fernando Alonso, who will participate in his very first Indianapolis 500 next month. He's got a busy time ahead, competing still in the Formula One World Championship and the Indy 500. Back and forth, there's a whole lot of travel and learning to go. Connor Daly for AJ Foyt Racing. And at the moment, Connor has worked his way up to 12th, and he's on a really good run. We want to show you something special involving Connor Daly and Fernando Alonso. That's Connor as a 12-year-old boy at the US Grand Prix at Indy. Connor's now 25-year-old Fernando. Not trying to make you feel old or anything, but time has passed us all by.
Well, yeah, I saw that picture on Twitter.
You did?
Yeah, and yes, long time ago, and yeah, I feel a little bit old.
Do you remember who his dad is? Do you know who his dad is? So
yeah,
Derek Daly, who also did Formula One and the Indy 500. So there's a nice tie in there as Alexander Rossi is in.
Yeah, Fernando knows Alexander Rossi, a friend of his from the Formula One days, coming down pit road. Impressive so far today, and he's gained 11 spots. He is in 7th position as he comes down pit road. They're going to put on scuffed black tires here. They asked him on the radio a moment ago. Rob Edwards said, if you make a bar change inside the car, is that enough to adjust for the blacks? He said, yes, I think it is. 9.7, a little longer on that stop for Rossi Lee.
Fernando, what do you think about when you look at these IndyCar pit stops, so different than what you're used to? Any early thoughts?
Yeah, well, I think there are some differences. Obviously, we are doing the pit stops now in 2 seconds. So we have like 23 people around the car when we do the pit stops. So yeah, it's quite different, but yeah, here is.
You could have a light lunch in the time it
well,
takes.
here I need to get used to. Yeah,
when you sat in the car today, we had some footage that you sat in Marco's car. Was the cockpit? How was the cockpit feel? Is it much different than the Formula One car? Was Marco's seat close for you?
Not so close. I think all the seats are very unique, so you know I need to make a lot of adjustments and a completely new seat. But yeah, the cockpit felt good, felt a little bit bigger than what we have also, and especially the vision from inside the cockpit. You see much more here. I think in Formula One, you know, the aerodynamic complexity makes the cockpit and the vision forward quite difficult and quite tight. So here it seems a little bit better, easier.
What about the anti-roll bar levers? That's something you don't have.
Yeah, we don't have. We don't have. We have everything on the steering wheel, and here you have everything around the cockpit. So yeah, things that definitely in the next 2 weeks I need to get up to speed.
Well, you're looking at an Indy 500 champion here, Fernando. Scott Dixon, he's a 4-time IndyCar Series champion, and briefly there he tested for Williams as well. Whether there was any avenue to go on to Formula One, but this guy has made a very, very successful career here. In fact, he's in the top 5 best IndyCar drivers of all time, and the reason why we're seeing that confirmed again, reaffirmed, is that he has taken chunks of time out of Josef Newgarden.
Yeah, he's on the push to pass. He's really closed a big gap. Newgarden has lost touch to Power. He's now almost 4 seconds behind Will Power, has stretched away, and those red tires now, and Dixon on blacks. The blacks look like the way to go, and he has closed the gap down to him.
Of course, Newgarden made the decision, only one in the top 10 to start on the blacks, but this is the penalty in the sense you have to run the reds at some point during the race, and this will obviously dictate to Newgarden and his team we have to finish on blacks throughout the rest of the race in case there was any question, but you can see Newgarden working hard to stay up front.
Hey guys, real quick on Scott Dixon, they saw a spike in the electric caliper temperature for him, and they got on the radio. Mike Hall said, hey, listen, let's take care of the brakes a little bit, just monitoring that temperature. Scott Dixon has been able to bring that temperature down, and remember, brakes have been a topic this year in 2017, so Scott Dixon, they think they have the issue fixed, but certainly a concern for these guys. Also, pit stop window opening up for the second round of stops as well, guys.
Looks on these reds like Joseph's car has a lot of understeer. He's pushing quite wide in a lot of corners, and you can see right there Scott Dixon holds a nice tight line on the push to pass.
And they're both on the button. There could be a move here as they come to turn 5.
This is one of the key overtaking points at the Barber Motorsports Park. Dixon on the outside. Newgarden, this is where he made his move on Pagenaud and plays tough with the 4-time champ.
Newgarden having none of Scott Dixon's move to the outside there. And imagine how Dixon feels. His team is saying, try to keep your brakes cool. Well, how do you do that when you're following so close?
Tony Kanaan's having a nice run today. He's worked his way up to 7th, and he wasn't real sure what he had as we continue to keep an eye on that race on track. Good stop, sticker reds for Tony Kanaan, Marty.
Graham Rahal and Ryan Hunter-Reay coming down pit road. Both these guys not having quite the day that they want. For Ryan Hunter-Reay, you ride on board with him as he comes to a stop in his stall. He said, I honestly don't know what to tell you guys to do with this car. It has understeer, it has oversteer. They make a bunch of changes to the 28, trying to get it to be a little bit better. Josef Newgarden coming down pit road as well.
This is the narrowest pit road that the IndyCar drivers have to deal with on the annual schedule. Newgarden in, and we watch with much interest if he goes to those primary tire black tires. Here he is.
And he is going to the primary Firestone, so that means he still has a set of sticker reds if he wants them for the last stint. But I know Will Power has already said, I want black primaries for the last stint. Marty?
Kevin Elio Castroneves coming down pit road and tight on pit road right there as he tries to work in behind his teammate Josef Newgarden. It's going to be primary tires, sticker primary tires for Elio Castroneves. They said, do you want any changes? He said, very explaining, saying, no, I don't want any changes. Very good for Elio right now, Katie.
And Takuma Sato is also in his pit. He's been very frustrated all weekend, but he feels like this green track has really come to him. He's going to fill it up with Sunoco fuel and go to the alternate reds.
How narrow is this pit lane? The respective lanes, there's only 2 of them. They're 12 feet wide each. Fernando, you'll have a lot more room to breathe at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's a lot wider there. Just want to ask you a quick F1 question because you're on NBC Sports at the moment. We also show Formula One as we're going to pause for a moment as Will Power, the race leader, comes in. Kev, this one's got to be slick. The day's gone perfectly so far for Power.
And as we heard, he does want the blacks for the final stint. So this is his set of sticker reds and Sunoco fuel for Will Power. He came in with more than a 4-second lead. Now it's cycled back out. Power is on the way, Marty.
Kevin Scott Dixon going contrary. They're going to go sticker with red tires, trying to see if they can gain a little bit of an advantage. And so far, a quick stop for Scott Dixon after waiting for the fuel. Let's see where he cycles out with the rest of the leaders. 8.8 on the stop.
Something happened there with the fueler. There was something going on at the back.
Look at Newgarden go blowing by. That is a great sequence for Josef Newgarden. Now Dixon will be super fast on these first couple of laps once the tires come up the temperature, but I'm a little surprised that they opted for those reds, Lee, because it really is going to fall off around lap 15 or so. He has to make his hay now.
So too Power, right? He was calling for the primary tires. He decided to go for the options. We'll see how it works out for Power. I think this car here, Josef Newgarden, is the one to watch for the win today. He has been the quick man and the most solid all day long. Fernando, we have noticed, we have seen week in, week out the frustrations with the McLaren Honda on the Formula One side of things. Last weekend in Bahrain, you were scrapping with Jolyon Palmer and Danny Kvyat, and it was really tough. But the drive, the way you're driving, the moves you're putting on, how do you rate where you are right now? We've read, we've seen quotes, heard you say you feel you're driving the best you are in your career. True?
Yeah, I feel very strong this year. I think with the new cars, with the new regulations, the car felt great this year with the amount of downforce and the preparation we went through. So yeah, we're just missing the power. You know, the power unit has been a bit a problem for us in the last couple of years. So yeah, unfortunately we are not performing at our best. But yeah, I feel very ready and I feel happy with my performance.
In the back of your head, I gotta ask, do you think to yourself, gosh, Monaco, the chassis is good, power not so important there? Do you have any reluctance in coming to do the Indy 500, knowing that's maybe your best chance?
Well, in a way, it was the only race that you know, I was not happy to miss, you know, because it's our best chance to score big points. But you know, I won Monaco a couple of times. You know, I've been competitive there. I won 2 championships, so a 5th place in Monaco, a 3rd place in Monaco, a 4th place in Monaco will not compare to the experience of Indy 500. So yeah, a lot to win and not much to lose.
What's Jenson Button say about coming back for what more than likely will be his final drive ever?
Well, not super excited, to be honest. You know,
is he in shape?
Yeah, he's very, very fit. You know, he's doing triathlons now and you know, running on the bike a lot. So yeah, definitely he's very fit. But only one race, knowing that you know, even we are not super competitive, it's not the dream, you know, for him.
So this guy sitting beside you, Townsend Bell, he was clocked at 239 miles an hour going into turn 1 last year. There's that problem.
Yeah, there was something going on here. They were blowing out the brake dust here. 8.8 seconds stop to Newgarden's 7 seconds stop. And that was the difference in beating him out of the pits.
Lee, I'm not a stickler for detail, but it was 242.7.
Oh, I said I stole a couple of miles
makes a
an
lot
hour
of difference inside.
But imagine you're going to turn left at that speed. It's not just in a straight line.
Yeah.
What's the maximum speed in Formula 1 that you see now? 215, 16?
I think it's 378 or something like that, kilometers an hour.
Kilometers an hour. So it's over it's late 220s, early 230s at Baku. Remember last year?
Yeah, Baku and Mexico as well.
Well, folks, it's been a real treat having the two-time world champion here, Fernando Alonso. He only arrived last night. He had dinner with his Andretti teammates here at the track at Andretti Hospitality, and he has met as many people as he could, answered as many questions as he could, saw the start of the race and taken time to join us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is going to be a really exciting time for you.
See you in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and have a terrific run.
Thank you.
Fernando Alonso, and we'll get to see him here on NBCSN for the Russian Formula 1 Grand Prix coming your way from the Sochi Autodrome next Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. We'll see what Fernando can do in the McLaren Honda. We'll see what he can do next month at the Brickyard. You often hear us talk about just how beautiful Barber Motorsports Park is. There you go, see it for yourself. There is not another racetrack like it in the world. The attention to detail here is amazing. Fan zone in the foreground there. What George Barber has created here, and it's now in its 15th year of operation, and it just gets better. They keep making subtle improvements each and every year. It is amazing. And like we said at the top of the show, if you've never been, it's worth a trip. You've got the Vintage Motorsports Museum, now just adding on an extra 85,000 square feet. It's monstrous, some of the best. In fact, it's the Guinness Book of World Record holders for the largest motorcycle exhibit in the world. Let's go through the field and let's kick it off with Kevin Lee. Kev?
Well, the pole sitter Will Power has been dominating this race, and he's trying to fight his way back in the championship, but thinking only one race at a time. In fact, he just wants to see a finish without a problem. Going back to the last two last year, the first two this year, Power is on a roll, but Josef Newgarden might have something for him, running in second. New look this weekend for Newgarden, and this final stint can be good because Newgarden and Power are going to be on different tires. Newgarden will be on sticker reds most likely. We know Will Power is going to be on blacks, Marty.
Scott Dixon decided to get those sticker reds out of the way during this run and trying to recover from that slow stop a moment ago and see if he can get past Josef Newgarden. You know, they changed the tire here a little bit for Barber this time around. Scott Dixon told me, I feel like they take a little bit of advantage away. We were really good on old tires here in the past. Not so this year, so Scott Dixon fighting a little bit of everything today here at Barber, Katie.
Marty, there is quite a big gap between Scott Dixon and Simon Pagenaud, but there he is, the 2016 champ, but he's been plagued with bad luck this year. He thinks that this is the weekend he can shake all of that. They're expecting a longer stint on these reds, Marty.
James Hinchcliffe started 6th today. Katie's up in the 5th position. He told me we had no time to celebrate our Long Beach win. We went directly to Texas to test there. I went to Toronto to shoot a TV show there, and then had Easter, and he went to the shop, and then came here to Barber. So not a lot of time to celebrate that Long Beach win, but right now the top 5 for Hinch. Elio Castroneves in the 6th position, right back there. There you see him in the Triple A machine. They struggled on Friday, made the car better yesterday, but he told me I'm a little bit worried about how the car is going to be in cooler conditions. So far, not quite what Elio Castroneves wanted. How about Alex Rossi? He's a little bit back from Elio Castroneves, but he has gained a ton of spots during the day today. He is up 11 positions right now for Alex Rossi. In the 7th position, the car has been pretty good, cycling out in these longer runs, but remember, they pitted shorter than everybody else today so far, Kevin.
Marty, everyone's moved up a spot. Tony Kanaan, there we see the NTT INDYCAR is now in 8th position. His Mikhail Lotion just pitted a moment ago. What a good day for Kanaan. He wasn't sure what he was going to have, and he said from starting 10, you know what, if we get top 8, unless something weird happens, that's a pretty good day, so he's on pace for that. Sebastian Bourdais, we will see behind him for Dale Coyne Racing. Bourdais was one of those also that wasn't real optimistic about what he had, but he's liked the car so far today, and he's in position for another top 10 in this one after being first and second in the first 2 races, Katie.
Check out Spencer Piggott running there in the top 10. He started 17th and has worked his way back up through the field. This is a huge confidence boost for him. Only his very first start here at Barber Motorsports Park. Max Chilton then is 11th. His birthday was on Friday. His mentor Dario Franchitti smashed a cake in his face. Look there, we see him there in 11th, but like I said, Dario Franchitti smashed a cake in his face. Then we move back to 12th with Takuma Sato. Takuma Sato has been struggling all weekend long, but he thinks that this green track has really allowed the car to come to him. Let's move back to 13th with Connor Daly. Townsend talked earlier about how much more confident Connor Daly looked this weekend, and that's because he is. He told me this is the first time that he's really felt confident with this AJ Foyt Racing team. Marty?
Well, Kenny and folks at home watched our qualifying show yesterday. They know it's not been a fun weekend for Graham Rahal. He has really struggled this weekend, but now the car's not too bad. He said, you know, last couple runs has been neutral for him. About 15 laps until these guys stop. He talked yesterday about what a struggle it is to be a single car team. Need a little help to get this team just a little bit better. Behind him, Ryan Hunter-Reay. Remember the lap 1 contact where they lost that front wing. They had to make that wing change. They have not really recovered since then. In the 15th position for Ryan Hunter-Reay right now. And he said, I don't know what to tell you guys. This car just not behaving anywhere near what it was like earlier in the weekend.
Look at this pursuit. Scott Dixon on Josef Newgarden. He is lapping quick laps in succession. Look at that from Scott Dixon. Yes, he's on the softer option red wall Firestone tires. This has been an impressive comeback from that little pit hiccup. Scott Dixon still running third, but guess what? From Will Power to Scott Dixon, the margin is only 1.4 seconds. Folks, we've got an IndyCar race on our hands here in Alabama. Good stuff from Barber Motorsports Park.
Back at Barber Motorsports Park as we head down to the final round of pit stops with Will Power leading his Team Penske teammate Josef Newgarden, and then Scott Dixon we see there in third. Tim Cindric calls strategy for Josef Newgarden. You're one of the few that has a set of sticker reds, but I'm hearing some want the blacks. What do you think you'll do on the final stop for Newgarden?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if too many people went to reds just because you're probably going to have to run a full stint here. So I'm thinking it's just going to be a shootout in the pits, and I think it'll be black to the end for everybody, but we'll see what happens.
So if your 2 guys from Team Penske are fighting it out for the end, what do you tell them?
That's a good situation to be in, but the other guy's right there.
Tim Cindric, president of Team Penske.
I tell you what, it's been an interesting race for Power, Townsend. He pulled away, they pulled him back, he pulled away, he pulled him back, and now he's stretching away a little bit.
A little bit, Paul, and I'm looking at Scott Dixon's pace right here, about 10 to 12 laps in on those reds. All of a sudden, Dixon's pace is backing up a little bit. So I think to Cindric's point, we'll see everybody on blacks as Pagano continues to work around some of the lap traffic there. That's Zach Veach.
Pagano having a pretty lonely race so far. He's really around nobody. He's dispatched Hinchcliffe and is really just kind of all by himself.
All right, and let's take a look at today's Chevy driver profile. It is Simon Pagano, the Rating Series champion, the likable Frenchman. Have you seen the Twitter feed of his dog Norman Pagano? Norman is actually here on site at Barber Motorsports Park. There you go. Lewis Hamilton's got Roscoe and Coco. Well, Simon Pagano has Norman, and he is a cute little dog. He's a funny little guy. Simon has plenty to do in his spare time. Really enjoyed the visit back home to France last year on the media tour after he became the Verizon INDYCAR Series champion. Katie, what do you got?
Well, Kevin solved the debate for Will Power and his tire strategy for the last stint. Kyle Moyer calls a shot for his teammate Simon Pagano. Kyle, what will Simon want for that last stint?
We're going to go with the blacks for this last one. The used reds when we started the race and everything, as you saw, everybody went off with them, and then the sticker red stayed with you. But so the only thing we got left in our pile right now is sticker black, so that's what we'll go with.
Do you think he has anything for his teammates on that last stint?
Yeah, I mean, you know, nothing to catch up with them. They're sort of taking off, and we're sort of hurt. But it's reporting rain now, so we'll see.
I think Marty is down pit lane with Mike Hull.
And Katie, that's what a lot of people are talking about. Is it going to rain or what's going to happen? The leaders should be pitting in about 10 laps here. And for Mike Hull and Scott Dixon, the decision's easy. They made that decision of what they're going to run on this final stint of the race before they made the last stop. That's the last set of sticker reds on the car right now for Scott Dixon. But Townsend, to your point, you're seeing that lap time fall off, so they're going to put on sticker primary tires for Scott Dixon when he comes back out and hope for a cleaner stop. Maybe they can get around those front two guys.
As we see some side-by-side action there with Bourdais making a move on Chilton. Marty, I guess the exception is unless it rains, so we'll be waiting anxiously to know if the sprinkles develop any further, because that throws everything out the window.
2/3 of the way through the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Will Power leads by 1.7 seconds. Scott Dixon is a further 1.6 seconds back. I want to show you some possible contact. Ryan Hunter-Reay. Here comes Charlie Kimball. Wheel to wheel.
This should get interesting.
Well, side-by-side into that next corner would not be good, but that's all good.
Yep, that's just hard racing.
Can barely put a piece of paper between those two, and Charlie's had some trouble the first couple of races, so he's got to drive a clean race. He can't have, he's got the eyes on him right now.
PT, he's turned laps.
I know.
He's got multiple laps under his belt. That will bring some relief.
Now he comes up on Graham Rahal, and these two got together in a big way on the first lap, and there goes Charlie Kimball up the inside.
What a move. That was some serious late braking, no lockups, picture perfect pass. This is what we want to see, Charlie.
And that was a move for 14th on Graham Rahal, trying to work in on the top 10. Racing lap 61, and I can tell you, just looking out our booth window here, things are getting darker and gloomier above the Barber Motorsports Park circuit. Is weather going to impact the final third of this race?
Watch the battle for 10th. Sebastian Bourdais has gotten by Sato and Chilton, but Chilton is fighting back. The next guy in front is Tony Kanaan, who's been pretty quiet. So there's Tony Kanaan right in front, and Piggott just up the road in front of him.
Tony Kanaan struggling a bit now on those reds. Bourdais on the blacks, so this is exactly what we've been talking about. Second half of the stint, you're a bit of a sitting duck.
Guys, let's give a shout out to Ed Carpenter Racing, Spencer Piggott, the young American, and his first drive in an IndyCar at this particular circuit. Bourdais sets up Tony Kanaan on the inside down into 5. What a nice move that was.
That all happened in turn 1. He held a nice tight line. Tony Kanaan pushed out wide, and it was all really set up from turn 1. Tony Kanaan coming back on the push to pass.
Oh, that's brave.
He's on the push to pass, push to pass.
That was smart driving by Sebastian. That's championship driving there. He could have really pushed the limit. You go into that corner 2 abreast, somebody's going off.
Well, that's where he went off in qualifying yesterday, wasn't it? Now he's got Max Chilton all over the back of him to finish the point on Spencer Piggott, having an excellent run. He's only 1 lap different from race leader Will Power's strategy, and he's running in a fine 8th spot.
Nice run from the young American. Now Bourdais should close back up to Kanaan in this long right-hander that really demands grip, and you can see the track and the conditions continue to darken. I have to think there's a chance of moisture.
I saw rain spot on the camera. Now it's starting to spit, they say, down by turn 1 and 2. Look at this line by Bourdais. He's going to try to hold the tight line again and get a run on Kanaan the same way. He's on the push to pass again. Not close enough.
This is the scrap. Maybe not. Further down in the top 10, Tony Kanaan holds on to 9th in the NTT Data car. Sebastian Bourdais, who is the championship leader, we ride with him. And that's Spencer Piggott. We were just saying what a great run he's had.
Looks like he had a spin. You can see the tire marks coming off of the Honda hairpin. It looks like he looped it coming off, which is a shame. And we get a full course caution, which is going to put Pagenaud back in the mix with the leaders.
Just the 2nd caution on the day.
Zach Veach dives in. That's nice for him. Way to maybe make up some spots if he made the line before the yellow came out. So about 28 laps to go. Everybody will be coming to pit lane when they open.
It's a big stretch now to go 28 laps on fuel. So a lot of guys pitted well before that, 22, 23. So they're going to have to do some work here to get to the end.
Well, I think we'll get a couple laps of yellow. They're going to clear Spencer Piggott out of the way, and it should time just right for the guys to make it home. But I think to your point, Paul, you're going to have to conserve. If we go green with 26 to go, there's going to be a lot of tricky driving. And a lot of times advantage goes to Scott Dixon in that situation.
He is the best in the field. Best in the field. For Spencer Piggott, there was a mechanical issue at St. Petersburg at the season opener. He ended up finishing in 20th. Streets of Long Beach were better. He finished in the top 10 in 8th spot. Still yet to find out and decipher what happened to the young American.
And I think our answer is there. You can see the jet dryer about to pull onto the track. So IndyCar making the decision. I think it's a good one. Let's clean up the racing surface, get all of the marbles cleaned up so that we can have great side-by-side action. And that'll allow us to go deeper into the fuel stint, meaning fuel conservation won't be as much of an issue.
Let's not forget, we're going to have our first yellow flag pit stop, and this is where these crew members have really got to get the job done. Power's been in command all day, but you have one little bobble like Dixon had, and you could come out of the pits in 5th, 6th place.
Yeah. And don't forget, outside of Toronto, this is the tightest pit lane in the schedule.
Yep. The boxes are short. The lanes are narrow, and this is very much at the forefront of the minds of the IndyCar stewards and officials, and of course the team.
And as difficult as it is to pass here, we'll be keeping an eye for any gamesmanship on pit lane. I'll bring it up because a couple years ago, Paul, you remember, you can make it a little difficult or a little easier on the guy behind you or in front of you, depending on not only the behavior of the driver and how he places the car, but all of the people working around the cars.
And think about where Pagano is in the mix on the lane. He's way up the other end and pit in.
I heard Kyle Moyer say just before that stop, we have something if we can close the gap, but we're too far behind. Now he's there. Do they short fill? Do they do a little pit stop trickery to put him in the lead?
I don't think you can short fill.
Because the yellows breed yellows, Townsend. This thing could turn now into a crash fest.
And guys, you want me to add a little more fun to the mix? The sun is coming out on pit road while we fill sprinkles. So go figure that if you're a strategist, you know. Is it sunny? Is it going to rain? Nobody has an idea down here.
Wow. Well, the silver Verizon Chevy you see at the front there is Will Power. Series champion a couple of years ago, yet to grab his first Indy 500 victory. He'd dearly love to do that this year. He has dominated this race, leading 58 of the laps so far. And pits are open. Let's go. You're going to see a scramble here.
Yeah, drag race into the pit lane. They are on it.
Pete, this is what Simon Pagano was nervous about pitting while everyone else was still coming in. We'll see how he gets out, but he's going to take a quarter turn of front wing out to compensate for those blacks.
Round to stop is going to decide the race. The leader, Will Power, hits first. Josef Newgarden is right in front of him. We'll see how they come out. Power will beat him out. Who's going to win a race on pit road, Marty?
Scott Dixon wants no changes to the chassis and sticker primary tires. He's going to come out just in front of Josef Newgarden, who tries to dart around him, but Will Power wins the race off pit road, followed by Scott Dixon and Josef Newgarden.
What a move from Dixon's Ganassi squad. After having a pit hiccup, they excelled that time to get their man out ahead of Josef Newgarden. Now he has a fair shot at Will Power for the lead and possibly his very first win at this race after having 6 podiums here.
Newgarden is on scuff blacks by choice. They have stickers.
Hey, and Hinch did put on, as I said, sticker red, so they filled their tire requirement.
Welcome back to the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, still running under the only the second full course caution of the day. It's bunched things up nicely here. There was a good scramble off pit lane. Check this out and watch Will Power, watch Josef Newgarden, and Scott Dixon's going to be in the mix as well. Look at this. Whew, that was close.
Nice clean stop by both Penske
but
cars.
Keep watching, keep watching.
Look at Dixon come out and he slots in between the 2 Penskes. Right there.
Nice work. And just a little fade from Newgarden to see if there was any option, but there wasn't. And that just sets it up beautifully for the on-track shootout, but guess what? Weather and rain. Rain is falling here in Alabama. This is going to get even crazier yet. You're watching NBCSN's live coverage of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, one of the new additions here at Barber Motorsports Park. That's why we keep saying it's just such a special place, so such a unique motorsport venue. And Mr. George Barber just continues to improve this amazing facility set on in excess of 800 acres. Still under yellow, track has been cleaned, and we need to remind you about the story so far of 2017 for the Verizon IndyCar driver, Will Power. He has dominated this race. He's led 58 laps so far, and he started the season off on a real high by winning the pole position on the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. That's nothing new for him. He's brilliant down there, but things did not go his way. Look at this, running over the hose, running over the wheel gun. It was just, it went from bad to worse, and it didn't get much better either. And that pole position ended up becoming a 19th place finish. And this on the opening lap of the Long Beach Grand Prix with Charlie Kimball. Well, that sets up an interesting story for you, because he was able to fight his way back and kind of salvage some points. But guess who he has to tangle with now to get back into the lead of this race? It's Charlie Kimball who is up there. Chevrolet driver update for you to show you who is where. Power second, Newgarden fourth, Pagenaud fifth, and Castro seventh. Guys, does this have disaster written all over it? Does this have, I'm going to get you back for what went down in Long Beach? What do you see on this one, PT?
He just pulled 2 tear-offs, so he wants a clear view of what's going to happen in front of him. And Townsend, these two guys have some serious heated history together, and there was some serious heat on Friday in a conversation in the driver motorhome lot.
All right, let's throw another one into the mix. It's the driver of this car here, the number 2 for Team Penske. The Fitzgerald.
How big of fuel savings is it going to be? It's going to be like close 30 or so, something like that. Depends on how good a mileage we get under yellow here. It's not that bad.
That's Tim Cindric and Josef Newgarden discussing fuel mileage to the end. He gave Newgarden a number. Newgarden said, it's not that bad. So look for all of these guys to drop the hammer.
Lights are out on the Honda Civic.
All right, get ready here, bud.
Pace car ready to go back to racing. It's Charlie Kimball. Then the Ed Carpenter car, you see Spencer Pigot out of position. That's not on the lead lap. Let's go back racing. Charlie Kimball for Chip Ganassi Racing leads the field. And watch further back, Dixon in the blue car, making a move. Rain starting to fall heavier here in Alabama. And we race the final 22 laps.
Very conservative start for Will Power. He didn't really want to get in the mix on those two. A lot of raindrops on the camera. Will Power's moved away. Look at Newgarden, Townsend looking for a move.
I think Power made a really smart decision there. Hold back on those 2 slower cars in front of him. Force the group behind to pack up as Takuma Sato slides wide in turn 5.
That was an optimistic move. A pretty brave one as well.
Spencer Pigot is a lap down, so he should be easy work for Will Power to get by. He'll more than likely move out of the way, but the question mark is going to be, how does Kimball and Power, how do they deal with each other?
I'm going to predict not well.
Well, Charlie told me the other day that Will approached him in the motorhome lot to talk about Long Beach, and things got very heated very quickly. Will was ready to walk out of the conversation. Charlie said, come on, come back, let's talk about it. And take a look at this.
Newgarden contact with Dixon. He did his move that he did on Simon and pushed Dixon right out of the way.
That was reminiscent of the move Newgarden did on Dixon in turn 5. I'm not sure there was contact as much as it was move out of the way. The young American is coming through.
How much do you think he wants to win here at what is his home track? Check out, there's the blue car of Dixon. Watch Newgarden here on the inside.
Nice dive down the inside, but he runs wide, almost pushes Dixon off the track. And I'll tell you what, Dixon will have none of that. He'll come back for some more.
Hinchcliffe on the outside. Hinchcliffe's gone too wide. Loses one spot there as Elio Castro Neves make it 2 as Alexander Rossi goes through.
They're all getting racing now. These yellows, green, aggressive racing. There could be another yellow happen with the way these guys are running each other so hard. Kimball still leading by 2 seconds now over Power, and Pigot has gotten out of the way of the leaders.
Now the big difference is Townsend, he has 14 laps less fuel. He's been out there for 14 more laps than the guy chasing him.
And Scott Dixon has the bit between his teeth, driving furiously to try to come back on Newgarden, but it's going to be tough. Newgarden so clever to duck inside. I don't think Dixon saw that coming on the previous lap.
I made a mistake on that. Pigot has not gotten out of the way of the leaders. There's Will Power, there's Newgarden, there is Dixon, all tied together. There's your leader. No, Pigot is gone now.
He's gone now. So it's clear road between Will Power and the race leader, Charlie Kimball. But watch the black car with green sponsorship. The number 2 of Josef Newgarden. There's Kimball. There's the margin back. It's about 2 seconds to Will Power. This is the car to watch here, the black machine.
And I don't think Power's too concerned about Kimball at this point. He knows he's going to pit in 5 or 6 laps. So as long as Kimball's pace is strong, Power's just going to hold court. But this is the battle.
Whoa, Dixon starting to return the favor to Josef Newgarden.
A little lockup there. He's going to try the over-under coming off of there, but he had a little lockup pushed wide. We'll have to regroup. Try it here. Newgarden on the push to pass.
Only 61 seconds of push to pass left for Josef Newgarden. Dixon 70, Will Power 117, so he has plenty in the back.
Dixon just shadowing Newgarden. He did not like that move. Dixon's a guy that always drives everybody clean and fair. When you make contact with him, he doesn't look favorably on it.
I still don't know that that was contact, PT. I think Dixon respects the move. He might not like it, but I think he respects it.
When you were involved in something like that, Paul, we knew when it was contact. It was very black and white.
Push to pass for Newgarden. He's anticipating a move, both of them on push to pass. Dixon turns it off. They have the ability now to turn off push to pass. So Dixon went for it, noticed he wasn't close enough, turned it back off.
And if I'm Newgarden, I think I'm going to start to do the math. Okay, I've got 56 seconds left, 19 laps to go. So what does that mean? 3 seconds or so per lap to defend.
Look at the difference there on Dixon.
Yeah, Newgarden ran a little wide there, and Dixon closed right in on the corner, but Newgarden got off the corner better, and that's what you got to do here. You got to get off these corners good.
Charlie Kimball is out front, but off strategy. The guy who has made the biggest moves as far as positions and on the same strategy as the leaders, Alexander Rossi for Herder Andretti Autosport. Welcome back, Lee Diffie, Paul Tracy, and Townsend Bell. Drama, big drama for the race leader, Will Power, the guy who has owned this race. Kev, what's going on?
They've been debating whether he has a left rear puncture. John Boslog on the stands at our telemetry shows you've got a problem. Will hadn't noticed at this point. They've put tires over the wall. They've taken them back. They keep going back and forth, but they are poised and ready. And now they're taking the tires back over the wall. For the moment, Will Power is going to stay back out, and he's going to assume the lead as Charlie Kimball pits.
They just don't know. These Townsend, these sensors can go bad. You don't know if it's 100%. His pace is good. He has backed up to the leaders, but he's still running mid 109s, 109.5, 109.7.
Now we're watching closely as Kimball leaves the pits to that left rear sidewall to see if we see any more flex or any more bounce, but so far so good.
If you run hard enough, you can keep it at a good pressure because of tire pressure build. If they go under yellow, the tire will leak down much quicker, but right now, there's no way if I was driving that car, if they said, come in, we think we have a puncture, there's no way I would come in the pits.
It's 14 and a half laps to go in the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. The margin between the top three is the closest it's been in quite some time.
We're going to have to pit this lap. Pit this lap.
No.
I would not do that.
He said it feels all right.
Down to 12 PSI, do another lap.
Stay out, Will. Do the right thing. He's not coming in. Your race is over if you pit now.
Stay out, man, and stay out till that tire is flat.
Lee, Lee, we're sitting next to a former Penske driver who raced with no seatbelt for 20 laps.
Yeah, exactly. And look, he's still able to keep it ahead of Josef Newgarden.
It's a little push there. He's a little wide, but I mean, these other guys are not really advancing on him.
On the button.
He's on the button. He's going to defend. Yeah, I would question that if his pace is good and he can control the pace here and keep them behind him. Why come in?
Listen, Graham Rahal finished second here last year with no front wing.
No front wing.
14 to go. Trust your instincts, Will Power.
You see anything? I mean, the guys have got the telemetry. They're saying it's down to 12 PSI.
Yeah, well, they're not sitting in the race car.
If it was down to 12 PSI, that car would be bottoming and dragging the ground in the rear all the way down the straightaway. So we don't see any bottoming, excessive bottoming. You know, these sensors can go bad in these wheels.
Look at
now,
Josef Newgarden.
He's got the pressure on.
Hit this lap.
It's dropping. I can see it now. The back
Will Power has led 60 laps of this race, and with 14 to go, he cops a blow, a punch to the ribs by having to pit from the lead.
That's more than a punch to the ribs. That's a punch to the groin right there.
And keep in mind, the last 4 races, something has happened that kept Will Power from getting a result. Contacts, mechanical issues. This time it's a puncture that takes him away from what seems to be a sure win. Now Will Power is going to be mired mid-pack.
I don't know why they put fuel in it. I guess they had time to top it off. Just makes the car heavier. Maybe only a second of fuel, not 5 seconds.
Now we'll see what Dixon's got. You've got Newgarden for the first time this year in the lead. He's looking on, knocking on the door for his first win, but this guy right here is shadowing right behind him, and he wants to get back and pay back on that pass that Newgarden made on him.
Remember the stat that Townsend had in IndyCar Live. You have to go all the way back to 1999, that the first 2 races were not won by either an Andretti, a Penske, or a Ganassi car. That stat's about to change because you got Penske, Ganassi, Penske, and then Alexander Rossi with Andretti. That's going to end right here with 12 laps to go. And this, the site of Josef Newgarden's first win, as Power comes back out with Kimball.
And look at this.
Maybe we're going to see the next round between these two.
Power's got to be so frustrated, and if Kimball tries to make a move on, I could see this ending in disaster.
Nothing to lose really here for Will Power. He'll get those temperatures up to temp and be on his way. I think he'll pull away pretty easily. There he goes from Charlie Kimball. Now watching Josef Newgarden, he's doing an incredible job of managing his push-to-pass time remaining. He's just using a second here, a second there, as Dixon draws closer.
Scott Dixon in the NTT Data Honda, hunting Josef Newgarden down. Remember, Dixon's had 6 podiums here. Agonizingly, 4 of them have been runner-up positions, yet to win. Scott Dixon, can he do that here today? And for Will Power, from first back to 17th.
Devastating.
That hurts. To the front and to the race decider. Josef Newgarden, he kind of had that title as the most promising and best driver yet to win a race. Well, he took care of that back in 2015 here at Barber Motorsports Park with some decisive moves, and he got the win in the Fuzzy's Vodka Chevrolet for Ed Carpenter Racing. If you like what you see here today, you're going to get more of it next weekend. The Verizon IndyCar Series continues Saturday at 9 o'clock Eastern for the Phoenix Grand Prix, when Verizon IndyCar Series races under the lights at Phoenix International. How about that? You go from this track, the first road course of the year after 2 street courses, to the first oval. Let's get an update from Team Penske. Here's Kevin Lee.
Well, there was a lot of debating whether to pit or not, and the telemetry was saying 12 PSI, and after they come in and make the change, they did find out that that's ultimately what the problem was. It was going to go down. There was still air in it, but that's just a little more than half of what it should be. So Firestone said, yep, that was eventually going to go. You made the right call. He would not have made it to the end.
Come on, Kev, get that gorilla grip on there and show us how flat it is exactly.
Okay, grip that ball like
you're going to need Shaq. You're going to need Shaq to palm that.
Patriots football.
They've actually already let the air out of it, so that wouldn't be fair.
I don't know. I don't know if I would have come in, Townsend. I would have gone and kept going until that tire was on the rim.
Absolutely. I mean, sure, you can argue that the safety element, but lots of runoff here. You're going for a win. It's just hard to do, and if you're the team, I can't blame them. You've got to let your driver know the information. You can't hold that back.
Even if it's going flat and you can hang on to a 5th,
you're right,
or a 6th is better than 17th.
Better than 17th where he is right now. Josef Newgarden, his new Penske teammate, leads this race over Scott Dixon. It's a Penske-Ganassi fight at the front. And then Simon Pagenaud third, Elio Castro Neves fourth, Alexander Rossi, the best of the Andretti cars for Herder Andretti Autosport, then Canaan, Bourdais, Sato, and Hunter Ray.
Lee, I think what you're going to see here is Newgarden continue to just use the button as sparingly as possible on push to pass to just stay ahead. Dixon, on the other hand, is quietly just nesting away. 56 seconds of push to pass. That could leave one massive big lap or 2 at the end of this race.
He's got double the amount of push to pass Dixon as Newgarden in front of him. Newgarden keeps just touching that button, touching that button, touching the button. And he's got to be careful because the guy behind him's got twice as much.
Hey guys, Mike Hull has been keeping Scott Dixon updated with where they were fuel-wise. He's been wanting to back off just a little bit, make a fuel number, but he told him just a moment ago, you're good at this fuel mixture for the rest of the race. In other words, you can go a little bit harder. So we'll see if Scott Dixon picks up the pace and if he can pay back that pass that happened a moment ago when Josef Newgarden went around him to take the lead. Katie?
Marty, on the opposite end of that spectrum, Kyle Moyer just came over the radio to Simon and said, buddy, we are not able to turn you loose. Simon Pagenaud is going to be in fuel save mode for these final 7 laps.
But you know what, Katie? The reigning champion of the series will pick up his 2nd podium within 3 races. Not too bad considering he was involved in some skirmishes throughout this race, and it's been a solid start to his title defense.
If Simon Pagenaud is having to save a little bit of fuel and Dixon was having to save a little bit of fuel, as we see Dixon go to push to pass, how much does Newgarden have? Because he's been defending and pushing that button and
he's
using
in
fuel.
the same Penske Chevrolet as Simon Pagenaud. So very good point, Paul. They last pitted on lap 64, so that'd be 26 laps to the finish.
Pass. Dixon's on it again, so he's been told by Mike Hall, you're good to go in this mixture, and now he's using that button.
Every time you use that button, you burn more fuel.
And listen, this is the Honda,
he's got a nice little run there.
This is the Honda Grand Prix of Alabama.
On the button.
And Honda has won the first 2 races of the year. There's a Chevrolet in front at the moment. Is Josef Newgarden going to spoil the party, or can Dixon do it?
You can see Dixon now starting to press the issue now. He's inching closer and closer. He's using the push to pass, so he's trying to hone in on where he's going to make the move.
So he's probably saving it for something special at the end, like he likes.
That's the voice of Mike Hull to Scott Dixon. These two have been working together for so long. Mike Hull is the managing director of Chip Ganassi Racing, but he's been on the box with Scott for so long. They know each other. They know they almost don't have to speak to each other to know what to do, to know what the other one's thinking. It really is a unique and special relationship, and that's why he's a 4-time champion and an Indy 500 winner.
But it can still get contentious. The last race there at Long Beach and St. Pete, some confusion on pit strategy.
Nice line. That's a nice line by Dixon. He was able to hold a nice tight line, but he's not close enough right there.
But a win cures everything, right, guys? That can make that relationship a little bit better. Scott Dixon closing in, and Michael also told him where Josef Newgarden is using that push to pass. He said he's only using it on the straightaway, and then you heard the rest of the conversation. He's probably saving something special for the end of the race. Let's see if Dixon can close in.
Look at how nice of a tidier line he's able to hold to Newgarden. Newgarden's running out wide, and then those long sweeping corners, Townsend, Dixon is able to hold that inside line and get clean air.
It's such a great situation for Dixon because all he needs to do is just drive hard enough to stay close. He knows that he'll be able to use more push to pass as they come to the line for the finish, but there's still 5 laps to go. A ton can happen.
Remember Scott Dixon's story as far as IndyCar wins and his status within the history of this sport. The only ones with any more and only better as far as the record books, the names are Andretti, Unser, and Foyt. That's where Scott Dixon fits into the hierarchy of the history of IndyCar racing.
Josef Newgarden has been reminded, defend if you need to, hang on to that position. And then meanwhile, a little further back, we haven't talked about him for a while. He's running in 8th position. That's Sebastian Bourdais. He is the championship leader coming in after finishing 1st and 2nd. When you talk to Sebastian and when you talk to the engineer Craig Hampson, they say, oh, we don't think we're really legitimate championship contenders. Let's be honest, because when we get to the super speedways and the big tracks, they're just going to blow us away. But this is the type of day with an 8th place finish when they didn't think they had a very good car. That's a bit of a championship drive as he works on Tony Kanaan for potentially another position. 8th place, hanging on the points lead. This is going to be a good day for Bourdais, Marty.
And Kevin, speaking of good runs, let's give a tip of the cap to Alex Rossi. Started 18th today. He's up in the 5th position. They used a little bit of strategy to gain some position, but they have been quick all day long, too. Going to look at a top 5 here for that 98 car, the defending winner of the Indy 500. But the battle for the lead, that's what we're all watching, isn't it, Div?
Oh, it's only half a second in it, Marty. Half a second with less than 4 to go. Josef Newgarden knows what it's like to come onto this front straight and see the checkered flag first. Is he going to experience that a second time?
I'll tell you what, Newgarden's strongest section of the track, Townsend, is those last 3 corners. He's able to gap, but from here to the end of the track is where Dixon is stronger. But
3 laps to go, 3 to go. He's got 16 on his number behind you. 16, you're clear.
Tim Cindric giving Newgarden the update on push to passes remaining for Scott Dixon, who's really burned through a lot. Scott Dixon down to 16 seconds. He was double, if you remember, a few laps ago, and now he's really trying hard to close the gap.
Dixon was really, really pushing hard and pushing the envelope to keep that gap tight, and I think Newgarden might have just allowed Dixon to maybe use his tires a little bit too hard.
Remember the reigning champion, Simon Pagenaud, it took him more than a year to get his first win in Penske colors. He had that settle-in. He had that settle-in year. Is it only going to take 3 races for Josef Newgarden to get his first win for the captain?
They're on equal push to pass now. Newgarden with 13 seconds remaining. Dixon now down to 16 as Dixon goes back for the push to pass.
And Dixon's trying to get close.
Good to go here.
Dixon wants to get close out of turn 2. He knows this is his only chance to probably make a move is on the run down to turn 5. He's not close enough there, Paul. He's fallen. He's fading into the really into the clutches of Pagano maybe now.
Yeah, he's using push to pass, and he's not even close enough to even utilize it. So I think Josef now has really just weathered this storm and really has the handle of it. He has more push to pass than Dixon. 12 seconds, Dixon on 9.
Just think about what Roger Penske and his organisation has and continues to accomplish on a global scale at the weekend in Australia in the Supercar Championship. Fabian Coulthard, for the time being, gave the captain and the Team Penske, DJR Team Penske Racing, the championship lead. You know, Roger's only been involved in supercar racing in Australia for a couple of years, and now they're winning and leading the championship. Here, leading this race, they're going back to the 500 to try and win another one in Monster Energy Cup competition, in Xfinity competition. It is amazing.
And let's not forget how big it was for Simon Pagano, last year's champion, to win his first race for Roger Penske. With 1 lap to go, this could get Newgarden on the run for the championship this season.
They're all spread out by equal amounts now, about a second between first and second, and a second back to Simon Pagano.
How do you feel, Paul Tracy, when you drive for the captain, Roger Penske?
Well,
you just want to deliver it, right?
You want to deliver. I was always on the verge of being fired all the time, so it was a little bit different for me. I was always walking around on eggshells.
Josef Newgarden, what a story it is. This is the closest racetrack for him to where he grew up.
Do whatever you need with the button.
Do whatever you need with the button, says Tim Cindric. The kid from Hendersonville, Tennessee, who had his highest point in IndyCar Series racing at this very track. He's got 3 career victories, by the way, but none in Penske colors yet. He's half a lap from home. And another great young American talent, following in the footsteps of the likes of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
He's so classy. I bet you he'll get out of the car and he'll say, you know what, I got lucky today with Will Power. He was in control.
And he speaks beautifully. He's well presented, and boy, can he drive a car. First win in Penske colors for Josef Newgarden. He's done it again at Barber.
Good job. Great job, guys. Got the first one together. Thank you. Yeah, boys. Awesome work.
What a way to win. What a way to win at a track that means so much to him, and you have to feel for Will Power. Led 60 laps of the 90, 2/3 of the race were dominated by this man, and he's had to suffer and been forced to swallow a 14th place finish after that punctured tire, that deflating tire. Oh boy.
He's been the unluckiest guy in racing so far this year.
This is the story of the day, though. Josef Newgarden in just his 3rd drive for Roger Penske victorious.
And you know what? I think the tone of Josef Newgarden's voice says it all. He expected to be strong this year. He expected to win races. And the tone suggests, good job, guys. Just one. We're going to go on a run now.
Marty?
Well, Roger Penske and Helio Castroneves wind up finishing 4th, but how about that guy, Josef Newgarden, getting his first win in just his 3rd race for you, Roger? What impresses you most about him?
Well, I'll tell you, when you have Dixon behind you like that for 20 laps, it shows you what a good driver he is, and great team effort down there with Tim and the guys, and the whole team was strong today. Unfortunately, Will had the issue with the tire, but we were good this weekend. We just got to carry it on for the next couple of weeks because the Hondas are strong, and but a great day for us, a great day for Fitzgerald and the boys, and our new sponsor on that car, but Team Penske where we need to be today up front.
Yeah, he mentions Team Penske where they need to be. 1, 3, and 4 for Team Penske today. Pretty impressive performance, Lee.
Nice way to come back, wasn't it? Nice way to say, oh, well, Penske or Ganassi or Andretti haven't won. That has changed right now.
And had Will Power not had the puncture, you would have had 4 out of the top 5. Yeah. All 4 Penskes would have been there.
Another solid day for Bourdais. He comes home in 8th. Wasn't able to get by Kanaan, but I think he will retain the points lead.
He does. He'll have a 6, so it kind of evaporates a little from 19 to 6 points. Josef Newgarden, who you look at, the race winner of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, moves into 3rd in the championship, just 7 points back. How about that?
No burnouts, no donuts, taking care of the equipment, bringing it back in one piece, exactly the way the captain likes it.
And you know what? He gave us a window into how cool he is and how controlled he is yesterday after qualifying. When the team decided to go a different way, try and save a sticker set of reds, that gamble didn't quite work out. Josef said, I believe in my team. I back their decisions. I support it. We've still got a great Chevy to take to the race. taking a look late in the race at what happened between Michaela Lotion and Ryan Hunter-Reay. This was for position. This was for 10th.
We've seen that pass all day. A little bit of contact. There's Ryan Hunter-Reay talking to his race engineer, Ray Gosselin.
Fernando Alonso in the background. He's been in Ryan Hunter-Reay's pit all day, and he can't believe it.
Aggressive move by Lotion, but no different than anybody else we saw today.
Yeah.
It was went in there hot, got a little contact, and don't see anything wrong with that.
The moves that this guy put on, though, in the second last corner in turn 16, phenomenal.
And that's what got him his first win here at Barber as well. That clever little sneak up the inside.
Catch him sleeping right there.
And now think about this. We're going to Phoenix, Indianapolis, places where Josef Newgarden is super quick.
And I think it may have been just 2 years ago when Josef got his first win for what was then the combination and amalgamation of Ed Carpenter's team and Sarah Fisher-Hartman Racing. That then got the captain's attention, I think 2 years ago. And they said, okay, he's a good-looking young American, speaks well, drives well, presents well. He'd be a good ambassador for Penske Racing.
Iowa last year sealed the deal for him at Penske. The drive he put on there with the broken hand. Congratulating his guys.
It took 4 years for win number 1. It happened here 2 years ago. It took just 3 races to get number 1 for Team Penske. Josef Newgarden celebrating with his new team. The closest race to his home near Nashville, Tennessee. You are a winner for Team Penske. What does that mean to you?
Well, it's great. You know, I mean, ever since I joined this team, I've felt just this awesome energy with this group, and to be with the 2-car guys is awesome. They work so hard on these race cars at Team Penske, but it's a group effort. You know, all these guys on all 4 cars, they're working together, and it's really cool to have Fitzgerald on the car this weekend. They're obviously going to be the sponsor for Juan Pablo at the Indy 500, so it's a big deal bringing these guys on. They sell awesome trucks. I want to thank Chevy too. It was awesome today. I had the fuel mileage I needed. I had the power, the reliability, the whole deal. So thank you, Chevrolet. And also Verizon. Verizon's always hooking us up. They give us the best technology in these cars, so thank you guys. I love this. It's awesome.
You were chasing your teammate Will Power. What were you thinking when you see him peel off?
Well, you know, first off, it's tough to see that because, you know, no one ever wants to deal with that. It kind of goes and comes, right? In racing, you get the breaks and sometimes you don't. And I think it was shaping up to be a really great battle for me, Dixon, and Will. And it ended up just being between Dixon and me. So I feel bad for Will. I wish he could have been in that with us, but you know, sometimes that's the way it rolls. And today it rolled right for us on the 2-car, and we'll try and keep this momentum and keep going strong in the future.
Might you have had anything for him?
You know, I think we had something for him. There's no predicting how it would have gone. If he would have stayed out and been fine, you know, maybe I wouldn't have gotten him, and Will would have been in victory lane. He was certainly very fast and very capable today, so you can't take that away from him. It's a woulda, coulda, shoulda thing, but you know, I'm happy it worked out the way it did. This is a good one to have. I think we earned it. This is a great car this weekend. We were on it. The whole team's been on it, so I'm happy that Team Penske got a victory, and we'll go to the next one and try and do it again.
He said it would be a process, and they weren't fully assimilated yet, but he's already a winner with Team Penske. Josef Newgarden wins near home, Marty.
Well, Scott Dixon came so close once again here at Barber. You guys didn't make a change to the car all day long. What did you need to catch and pass Josef Newgarden?
Well, I shouldn't have had to. You know, I saw him late come into I think 15 or 16 there on that first restart or the last restart, and I tried to turn down, but the car was just so neutral that I just didn't have any rear grip to pull it off. But he didn't give me too much room on the exit. But kudos to Josef. You know, he drove a hell of a race, and you know, well deserved by them. But the NTT data car was strong. In the race, you know, I think we actually had the speed. You know, had we had clean air in that race, I think we would have checked out. But you know, I feel bad for Will Power too. I don't know. I think maybe a false flat tire there or something. But it was definitely a good fight. But ultimately didn't have enough there. And you know, good job to Josef.
For the 5th time, Scott Dixon finishes 2nd here at Barber. Lee.
Isn't that hard to believe? It's hard to believe. Scott Dixon. So close, but that's going to help him in his championship hunt as well. And look at that. Tim Cindric, the president of Penske Racing, and Will Power. Can you believe the frustration? You're watching NBCSN's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Pengrade Motor Oil. Make the grade. Let's get down to Robin Miller. Robin?
Looking to Will Power, and he's taking things pretty well because it's probably the most disappointing day of the year by far.
It was, I mean, it was such a great effort all around. Like, the car was awesome. It's so fast, and you know, I feel bad. It's literally 5 races in a row. 3 of them were different mechanical issues, and it's just, yeah, I don't know what to say.
When you first heard it, you said, hey, it's fine, and the guys in the booth, PT and Townsend, were saying, stay out, Will, stay out, but did you eventually feel it?
I could feel it starting to bottom and then starting having issues in some fast corners, and I tried to tell them for as long as I could that's all right, but I knew it was going down. Like, you could feel it. Yep. We'll move on to the next one. I thank all my crew and Verizon and the whole team. I mean, we put a great effort in, and that's how racing goes sometimes.
Mario Andretti used to say after leading races at Indy and falling out, they knew I was here.
Exactly.
Okay, Katie.
And his teammate Simon Pagenaud comes home 3rd, but Simon, in those closing laps, your strategist Kyle Moyer says, we can't turn you loose, bud. How frustrating was that?
Yeah, you know, you're racing. It's you just want to go as hard as you can. Wrestle the bear, like we say, but couldn't do it. Unfortunately, we had to save few to finish. I hate these kind of races. You know, you just want to go. And we had tremendous pace at the end. We struggled a little bit at the start, and we adjusted the car during the race. I was very happy on the reds, and then on blacks at the end it was good. Unfortunately, we lost a lot.
Speaking of the start, you and Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yeah, I felt that. I felt that. Yeah. Yeah, so we lost a lot of spots when Josef hit me, and I went in the grass in 5. So that's where I think we lost potentially the race win. But yeah, it is what it is. It's a good day overall. I think, you know, we've transformed tough start of the season into good results, and I think that's key for the championship.
Simon wanted to shake bad luck this weekend. I think he did, Lee.
Good job from Simon Pagenaud to gather it back up after that collision at the beginning. He hung tough all day. Yes, understand the frustration of not being able to let loose at the end, but championship is what it's all about. Simon is in 4th, and he's only 11 adrift of fellow Frenchman Sebastian Bourdais. But the story of the day, it's all Josef Newgarden for Team Penske. What a day for the man in the middle. Josef Newgarden, victorious at the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Time to hear from some more drivers and one man who finished in the top 4. Elio Castro-Neves is with Marty Snyder.
A nice solid run for Elio. Started 2nd, winds up finishing 4th today, and midway through the race, you were back in 7th and 8th. How'd you get back up to finish 4th?
Well, with a little bit of luck with the yellow and a couple of shame with the wheel cutting the tires, and Hinchcliffe went off, so we were able to get back on the top 4. Triple A Chevy was really good, actually. It was just unfortunate with the black tires. It was one thing. It was actually good balance, but a little bit slow. When you have the Firestone Reds, it was fast, but it was too loose to control. It was like, man, it was like you're working in the car, and plus saving fuel towards the end was a little bit hard. But you know what? Congrats to Josef. First win now. He's not the rookie anymore. Well done. That's why Roger kept hiring those young talents, and we keep pushing.
How needed was a weekend like this for Team Penske overall? Wind up finishing 1st, 3rd, and 4th.
It's great. You would probably finish with the wheel as well up there, but you know, it's just to show that we working together. Yes, I want to win. I know Will, I know Simon, and today was Josef's day, so we only have to be a little bit patient, and in the end of the day, everybody's going to get your share.
No doubt. Strong day for Team Penske here at Barber, Katie.
Marty, Alexander Rossi finished just behind him and 5th, when last year he finished 15th. Alex, what does it mean to come away from Barber with the top 5?
It's good considering we started 18th, so we were pretty disappointed yesterday, and my engineer and I were on the bridge of desperation, I think, last night a little bit. So we made a lot of good decisions overnight, and I think we resolved some of our issues, but not all of them. So we have to understand what happened Friday and Saturday and make sure it doesn't happen again.
What do you think about your former F1 colleague coming to take away your Indy 500 title this year?
He's gonna do a really good job. I know that, but I know that we have the capability of winning, and you know, Elio was the last one to go 2 for 2, and we need to make sure we do that as well.
Thanks, Alex. Down to Kevin.
Sebastian Bourdais remains the championship leader. Not a win, not a podium, but that seemed like a pretty good drive today from what you thought you had coming in to finish 8th.
Yeah, not quite sure what did what, to be honest. Whether it's the conditions that, you know, got us more in the window of the operation of the tires or something else. But yeah, we're pretty competitive. Just a heck of a difficult track make moves and move forward, especially when it's a straightforward fight like that. We got bottled up behind TK a couple of times. I really thought I had him there, and he did a heck of a job just getting me back, and he used to push to pass. I didn't even expect.
You forgot?
No, I didn't forget. I just I really thought I had him, and it was game over, and he used the push to pass and got me back on the way back over there towards turn 7, which, you know, shame on me, but it was a good fight. Not the greatest day, but tough day at the office. The boys did a really good job on the pit stops, and that Sunny's Barbecue Honda 18 still leading the championship. So, you know, can't complain much about anything.
Good work for Sebastian Bourdais today.
And speaking of the points, Sebastian alluded to it, I'm still the championship leader. Yes, he is. However, he's lost some 13 points. Scott Dixon sitting in second at this time of the season. That looks promising. And Josef Newgarden, the winner. By the way, 3 different winners in the first 3 races of the year. And Pagenaud and Hinchcliffe in the top 5 as well. And still, despite today's result, Ed Jones remains in the top 10 as a rookie. That's impressive.
Another really solid day from Ed Jones, a smart young driver, getting those finishes early. But Paul, a lot of people here that could factor heavily as we get into the month of May and even Phoenix next weekend.
Certainly, Phoenix is going to be a heck of a Saturday night race. You're going to have a lot of action there. And look at that points race. 15 points separates the top 5 so far.
Josef Newgarden winning for Roger Penske in just his 3rd race for his new team. Wrapping things up here in Birmingham, Alabama from the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. There's your podium place getters. Josef Newgarden joins Al Unser Jr. What an honor to win in just his 3rd Grand Prix, 3rd race, I should say. Sam Hornish Jr. won in his 1st IndyCar Series race. Danny Sullivan won in his 2nd. So for Josef Newgarden in his mid-20s, the future certainly looks bright. Taking a look at the results.
Imagine Josef Newgarden is going to be driving for Mr. Penske for a very long time. Great run from Alexander Rossi. Tony Kanaan hangs on for 7th. Michael Aloshin always in the drama, Paul. He comes home with the top 10.
A good recovery by Hunter Ray. He was languishing way down in 16th, 17th. He comes through and almost gets a top 10 if it wasn't for Mikhail body slamming him on the last lap.
And by the way, PT, there was no further action taken from race control about that wheel-to-wheel contact. I'm sure Ryan Hunter-Ray was none too pleased. Graham Rahal knew he was in for a tough day, but still, he started 21st and was able to salvage a 13th place finish. And we heard from Will Power, agonizing with that deflating tire, sent him back down the order from 1st to 14th. Paul Tracy, what are your thoughts on the day? Pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
we've had our 3rd
race.
different winner.
I mean, they say it's hard to pass here, but this race has always put on great racing, and the winner came from 7th place on the grid, so he made it happen. He had that inside move in the last couple corners, which he made all his moves there.
Townsend, the races, the 3 races so far, 2 street circuits and the first permanent road course, 3 very different races. I think we're in for a great season.
It's, I think, going to be the most competitive in the history of IndyCar, frankly. So many players that have a chance to have a run, but you'd have to do a good job convincing me right now that Josef Newgarden is not going to come on with huge momentum after getting this initial Penske win off his back.
You go to these races coming up for Josef, Phoenix, Indy. After that, you got Iowa coming up, the place where I think sealed the deal for him to go to Penske was that win with the broken hand.
Look at this. It is an absolute joy to come here every year. This is a first-class facility. We just saw a first-class race from a terrific young American with a huge future ahead. Is he a future champion? I would say so. Is he a future Indy 500 winner? He runs well at the Speedway. There he is. His name's Josef Newgarden from Hendersonville, Tennessee. He has loved his time since joining Team Penske. And look at that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that in season 2017. Hey, another reminder coming up next. It's NHL Live. The Verizon IndyCar Series continues on NBCSN next Saturday, 9 o'clock Eastern, for the Phoenix Grand Prix. It's the first oval of the year. And for more information on the entire series, head to NBCSports.com. This race had it all today. And weather was threatening. There was sunshine, there was darkness, there was contact, there was controversy, there was some terrific passes, frustration, and exhilaration as well. On behalf of the entire IndyCar team here on NBCSN, thanks so much for watching. See you next week from Phoenix.